We're just about to start C4 Comic Art Critique with Vermont comic creators. In just a moment, as soon as everybody's in here, we'll start our show. Hmm. If anybody's watching this, I think I know what happened to the link. The link got broken in the post on Facebook, so I'm going to correct that. But if anybody's sitting there waiting to try to get in, just go to either the event or go to Vermont Comic Creators group page and click on the new link that I've just recopied and pasted.
Hello.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, dude, what's going on?
I'm just messing around here and trying to make sure that this doesn't work.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You can see my cat behind me. Both of them, actually.
I unfortunately am typing stuff into Facebook, posting stuff just to talk back to people, but I will definitely see your cat in just a moment. Absolutely, I will. All right. I think basically what happened was that sometimes Facebook will truncate a link with an ellipsis on the end and sort of hack out part of a long link, and then suddenly, and the problem is, though, even though it truncates the link, it doesn't actually just truncate the text. It actually truncates the entire link to, hangouts.google.com/h ... which there is no place to go to.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. So I just fixed it. It did it again in the post. But I don't think it did it in the... Yeah, it sure did. Again, I wonder if it's... No, it looks like it's okay. But I
feel like that's got to be a new thing, right?
There's a lot of funky things happening. We're in another Facebook phase where things happen because they just do.
Doing some
I just want
Patreon shit because I haven't been paying any attention to it lately. It's been auto posting stuff.
Oh, do you have like a sort of a bulk set of items, and then it'll just auto post as it's needed.
Yeah, I've been cool. I've had quite the buffer for a couple of weeks now.
Oh, good.
Now I have a couple of more, but I've been working on them kind of randomly. So I have like next week's, but then after that, I have a bunch that are ready. But if it makes any sense, it's like the 13th one I haven't finished yet, but like 14, 15, 16, 17 are done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, right.
Because it was a gag that didn't quite land, and now I have to retool it.
Mm-hmm.
And another one in the middle was like just not working either. So I was like, yeah, I gotta scrap this. I gotta reevaluate this crap.
Did you just reevaluate this crap for crying out loud?
Just hurry up and do it. God, stop talking about it. Whatever.
So we're here for C4, the comic art critique thing.
Both of us.
Although other people like Jack and at least Jack and who else? Barney said they were coming.
Oh yeah.
Nate Walpole might be here, and Lisa Cotton might be here. And if anybody's sending us chats in the chat window, I just forgive me because I gotta open up a YouTube window to be able to see that stuff because of the way this thing is kind of designed. Let's see where we are. Okay. Hey Lisa, if you want to actually be in on the actual critique rather than just watching, then I would use the other link, the Hangouts link, and that will open up a live chat window where you'll be able to talk to us and directly using your microphone. And if you happen to have a camera, then it will ask for permission to use the camera as well, but it doesn't auto use the camera. So feel free to switch from one to the other if you want to do that.
It's kind of funny. Beth and I were watching this great movie last night called Nerve, which is about young people have this app on their phone where they're sent random dares that they have to do, and if they do them, they get to stay in the game and they get like ranked and they get like more watchers and stuff like that. But when you first log in, you have to choose between either being a player or a watcher. So it's just funny to think about that, like people, it's like lurkers, as it were. It's like, oh, I'm just going to watch, or oh, I'm going to participate. It's pretty interesting.
I heard about that. I mean, I heard the name, but I didn't know anything about what it was going to be.
Yeah, it's much better than the trailer makes it look.
One
of those kinds of movies.
So you want to just riff for a little while we
sure.
While we wait for a couple of others? I actually just discovered, this is totally unrelated to anything that we do, but this is a big yay for me, is that I don't know if I can, let's see if I can share this. Can I share the actual application window of no, you can't. You can't actually share the Google Hangouts. Well, maybe I can. Let's see if I can. In Infinity Vision, I can.
I feel like that's going to crash everything.
Well, so if you look all the way on the right, there's something that's come back in the Hangout toolbox, which is a lower third graphic or a custom over a lower third graphic, which is a huge big deal for me because now I can, once I do shows again, I mean, it's actually worth it for me to do shows again. Here, I'll stop that.
Looks like a flight of stairs.
I know. Which means now I can actually have a graphic at the bottom that says, you know, like Greg Giordano and the show and the whatever. So I'm going to make everybody lower third graphics while we talk, and we can test that out while we're actually doing our crits and stuff.
Sweet.
Because it's really, really useless to do a show when, you know, like if you were doing a show for you and your 5 friends, nobody needs to know whose names anybody is, right? But if you're doing a YouTube show, and I know everybody's going to say just use OBS, but you can't just use OBS, meaning this third-party video production suite, which is open source, for more than just one person. Yes, you can get other feeds in, but there is no like split Skype call video feeds into split inputs into OBS and then putting your own title graphics in through that. You cannot do that. Don't tell me you can, because you cannot. I've talked to experts in the field. I've talked to people at OBS. You cannot do that. You have to actually have multiplexing sort of video software to do that. So Hangouts was amazing because even though it was gritty video, it had this one little cool thing, which was like as many people come in the call as you want. And if you want, as many people can have a custom overlay that they can upload. And have a lower third so everybody's name is visible, and you know, maybe their website or whatever the hell they want to have at the bottom of their screen so people can identify who Jesse is or who I am or Jack is or whoever is in on the thing. So this is really cool. Still not happy with the quality of video with Google Hangouts in general, but it's really awesome to be able to return to a format that hopefully will support, you know, being able to name themselves. So I was wondering, actually, you mind giving that a shot, Jesse?
So what do I need to do?
Just float with your cursor over on the left side so that the toolbar kind of shows up, or it may be permanently showing up. I don't know, but
it is permanently on mine.
And you may have access already in there. The thing that's the green dot with a suitcase or whatever.
Oh yeah, okay.
Hangout toolbox.
Yeah.
So when you click on it, it'll appear on the right. And it gives 2 options. It's either a custom overlay, which is a PNG graphic that you upload, but all I wanted to see is if people could just click on the one that says lower third at the top and highlight that button. And it should autofill. Yeah. Now what's cool is that, yeah, you can also choose the color, which is cool. Which I don't know how long it takes for it to update that.
I'm going to find out right now, I guess.
And also you can add a tagline, which I'm just going to, right now, do my website. See if it does it. No way, man. It just clicked off.
I don't see it on yours yet.
Yeah, I sure don't either. Let's see here.
Yeah, I don't seem to be able to change anything on it.
That's awesome. It's back. Oh, I see. Work in progress. Oh, the presets are work in progress. Volume control, about. Hangout Toolbox provides useful applications to improve your Hangout experience. Oh yeah, there's grayed out buttons and stuff. So they're not done sort of making this thing work.
No, you can do it. Like you can put your stuff on there. If you click on it, it looks gray, but you can interact with it though.
Yeah, because it's definitely not uploading. It's not changing or responding.
It's funny if I click on my own, it's mirrored.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, all the Google video is well, how do you put this? It's I forgot the reason for this, but it is flipped, but it's not flipped on the outside. Like you don't, like your other Hangout callers do not see flipped video, or flipped graphic or whatever you want to call it. They see things all normally. So I see your name normally and so on and so forth. I don't know why this is, but I have no idea. It's something. Mirror your video. Oh, now I can mirror my video. I don't want to mirror anything. All I want to do is put my stupid name in there. All I want to do is choose a different color. But it won't let me. Well, this is something at least. That's cool, because what it's doing is it's pulling the whatever Google information that it already knows, and it's at least doing that part of it. All right, now I'm going to try to make an actual graphic. See if that works. So, so how are things in your world with working on your comics and your art?
It's been going very well. So the comic has been very consistent. I've had a buffer for the last several weeks, which has helped me to fill in that buffer and make more of a buffer, as it were. Mm-hmm. So the 11th one, I think, just posted today, which I can't believe it's already been out for 11 weeks. Let me see here. Oh, and you've reminded me, I wanted to check my website, because the people that I buy my hosting from, A Small Orange, their rates seem to have gone up from $5 to $8, and they didn't tell me anything about it.
That's it. Cut them out. It's time to get up to your $16 a month anyway.
Yeah, right.
You knew it was time.
I'm trying to download this cool thing you guys have now.
Oop, we got somebody else?
Yeah.
Barney, how you doing?
Barney, what's going on, dude?
All right, so Barney, would you help us out, test this widget thing, and roll your cursor to the left side of that Hangout window?
Yeah.
See the Google Toolbox logo, or a button, I should say?
Yeah.
Just press it. The little right-hand screen will pop over, slide out. And just activate the little grayed out button at the top that says lower third.
All right, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, and I gotta add my upload overlay. Okay, I gotta add my picture.
No, I mean just use the top one. Don't use the bottom one. There's an identical button at the top. See it there? Lower third, go over to the right. There's a similar button.
Oh, mirror your video.
Nope, the one next to that. The one to the all the way to the right.
Yeah, the Hangout toolbox.
So below the gray Hangout toolbox area,
yeah,
lower third is already pre-selected.
Yeah.
There's a picture that says mirror your video, but then to the right of that, there you go. Okay. Oh, look, it's story comic.
I know I gotta change my
That's your that's what it is. We've tried changing our display names and stuff, but it doesn't seem to work. I don't know why. But it's at least something.
All right, let me try that again.
Did you move locations, Barney?
No, I actually just put more lights in the basement.
Aha.
My man cave. And I had it up here at one point too. Let me fix that there. Oh, that's too low.
So Barney, when you changed your name by filling out display name, did you just hit enter or?
I turned it off and then I wrote my name and turned it back on.
Oh.
Is it backwards or is it forwards?
It's backwards for you, but it's forwards for everybody else.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
It's not working for me. And I wonder if maybe it's because I'm hosting the thing. Maybe that's why.
Maybe.
I feel like it would be more inclined to.
Yeah, you'd think.
You do it if you were the host.
The old one had the exact same set of tools, but it responded when I would do my changeover. But I'm betting it's because I bet I would have to refresh out and then it would change it. But anyway, this is good because now at least everybody has, again, like I said, everybody's got a name for people watching who may not know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I was supposed to do book stock this weekend, but my stuff didn't come in on time. So
what was that?
I was supposed to do book stock this weekend.
Oh, what is that?
of our meetups, we're talking about what other cons around that people go to, and somebody mentioned Bookstock. I can't remember who it was, if it was Stephanie or.
Oh yeah, I think that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but that's okay. So that's here in Vermont, or?
Yeah, it's down in Woodstock.
Oh, that's cool.
Ah,
the good news was I rushed to get stuff. Now I can wait about 4 more weeks before. I bought some swag off of Vistaprint, like little business cards and stuff. And drinking my cinnamon Robos tea right now. I'm going crazy right now.
What was that?
I said I'm drinking my cinnamon Robus tea right now. Rubus?
You sound like a robot.
It's Rooibos.
Rooibos, okay. Yeah, I'm living hard right now.
Yeah, you're crazy, man.
I'm crazy with my cinnamon tea.
Oh my God, he's gone mad.
Your
Somebody
Rooibos
stop him.
dry. He's all high on Rooibos.
No, I knew it. I knew it all along.
Rooibos chai actually is the goofballs of pretentious tea.
Did you guys see that post I put today on Facebook?
No, I blocked you.
Yeah, actually I did, but let me scroll back to it.
It was who are you gonna call it? Goat's butter.
Oh, that I
a
don't
photo
remember.
of goat's butter, and someone put "who are you gonna call" in front of it.
Oh, I thought you meant in the group, because I know
no.
you shared that thing called Comic Central, which I have to say, like, I mean, it's fun. I mean, more venues the better, and it's great that they're sort of like interested in only dealing with independent creators. Although the minute that somebody actually says to them, we want to throw material on there, they're going to take the money because it's basically like printing money. But the only thing is that generally speaking, ventures like this tend not to last because they don't have the cash injection of Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Dynamite, etc. And those kind of sales keep people, keep a venture like this alive. I mean, it's very difficult for me to imagine anybody being able to pay their bills selling like real hardcore independent material.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, is that if you listed there, is it proprietary? Does that mean you can't list it in other sites?
No. I mean, if they had that in their TOS, then you would never want to use them anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, none of the services have that. There's just Comixology. None of them have that. The only thing
I just read the other day. I listened to a podcast called Comics Coast to Coast.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
They're talking about how I forgot about that. That like Comixology is basically like the Netflix of. It's $5.99 a month.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they finally.
Oh, is that how that works now?
Yeah.
Well, they included that in their service package. I mean,
oh my God, that's awesome. I'm in.
Yeah, you can buy individual comics, or you can buy their sort of Netflix sort of.
Oh, I am so into that.
Marvel has one
that they were doing that.
Yeah, Marvel has one that's really successful. I don't know if DC's gotten in on that yet, but the only thing with doing the Netflix model is that a small independent is not going to make any money on those sales. But on the other side of it, as a reader, sure, it's amazing.
And how much of it I'm wondering too is just we're on the cusp of all digital right now. It's going through a new golden age, and I'm wondering if we're approaching it wrong and thinking it more like how musicians do it. They're like, here's our stuff, you can access it for free, listen to our music, but if you want to, and then they make money off of their concerts. They don't make money off of their music. They make money off of their concerts.
Yeah, that would mean we'd have to make money off our concerts too. i.e. conventions.
Yeah, I don't. I make very little money at my coffee house appearances.
But I mean, from that sense, about like
I spend money at my coffee house appearances.
Well, here's the thing that mathematically, or I should say, like formulaically, totally makes sense. The problem is that people don't buy every single person's T-shirt, sticker, and whatever.
Right.
So the thing is, you got to be realistic that. Also, and print books. Print books are the sale.
Yeah.
They'll always be the major sale. There's never going to, I mean, people do sell other material, and it can be for them advantageous, even financially advantageous to have the other material. Some people sell more prints than they do books, right? So that's cool.
Yeah.
Although they have to have a lock on some very, very mass audience, genre stuff, even if it's, whatever, fantasy or something, that's going to pull in that sale on that item as a standalone print or whatever. I think, and the thing is, people have been giving away their comics now for a long time, and that's what the webcomic model is, right? I mean, whether you use your own site or Taptastic or any number of different things. So people do actually give their comic away and then sell the completed book and stuff like that. I mean, that's what Jesse did with his Rip and Gidge, and
that's what I'm doing now.
That's what you're going to be doing now once once Professor Snugglebottom's done. So yeah. I think that the only issue is the print's not going to go away. I mean, there was a time when I think a lot of people, including myself, had this idea that maybe it was. It is very, very unlikely in the next 50 years that print's going to entirely go away. And the reason why, I think, is because, people are still buying mass market trade paperback collections more than they did before, not less.
Yeah. And like, I went to the comic shop in Burlington the other day. And the guy saying it's like, the monthly, your monthly comics aren't really the big seller. Now it's just the trade paperbacks. Mm-hmm. Especially like people will just say, here, I just put together an entire anthology of, people want to tell whole stories instead of having people. And I think what it is that you're talking about.
As opposed to serialized, right?
Well, yeah, opposed to what? Not what it's like. It's the Netflix world now. People want to binge read now. So unless you're going to find an entire run sitting there, you're not going to pick up one issue of the March issue, then wait another month to read another 22 pages, and wait another month to read 22 pages. That's why the trade paperbacks are doing so much better than your normal ones now.
Now, of course, the more independent you go, right, the more closer to self-publish you go.
Yeah.
Those are like people like us are not necessarily seeing, because we're not publishing quantity enough to be able to track sales to that degree. But at least anecdotally, I think it's true that self-publishers who do individual issue comics are not necessarily seeing any dent or whatever, or people saying, do you have a collection yet? That doesn't happen to me at any shows, and it doesn't happen to anybody that I know.
Yeah.
However, that's a good thing, right? But I mean, it's definitely a case that DC, Marvel, the big companies, that content delivery system of monthly issues is on the way out.
Yeah.
And it really serves as a loss leader to have constant eyes on new product all the time. But that whole area of their comic sales is like, it's got to be a tenth of what they sell in other printed material, I would think, because some DC and Marvel titles sell less than 60,000 copies.
Right.
So it would have to be the case that they're just writing it off as a leader to the book collections and other, uses of it. So, I mean, and the thing is, who cares, right? I mean, it's a good thing, in the end. The only thing it's a bad thing for is retailers, because they're not, and have proven to be very like the opposite of malleable and the opposite of flexible, except for stores that are very flexible and have made that transition.
Right.
I've seen stores in Oakland and SF, big cities, big metro areas. They're doing okay. They're doing fine, but the reason why is because you know, they made the transition to promoting collected product, and of course they've got city, you know, they've got a bigger population to draw on. The small stores with small areas, they have a lot of work ahead of them to try to get, you know, their retail under control.
Right, and they're diversifying by selling toys and all that. And the bad part, you know, the hard part that they're facing in Earth Prime is other comic shops will sell board games, but they got the board games place a quarter staff above them, so they can't really. Is it the same company? Is it the same owner?
It's the same owner.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they would. The only thing I could say is that there might be a time when those two stores would fuse together, but I would also say there's some particulars about the nature of how that place is running and the ownership and the owner. They own the building, so unless they were like, oh, it actually would they would make them more money to rent it out to another business like a restaurant or something. Maybe, and then just fuse everything together upstairs, which I don't think would be any death knell to anything. It would just probably make it tighter ship and so forth. It might it would drastically reduce the ability to have back issues and so forth, but they don't sell anyway. So maybe that would be one way to, if something really dire happened to Earth Prime, I think that could be a very quick and dirty way to like survive and, you know, and not have to lose comics on Church Street, in general. But you know, but
they seem to do okay.
Yeah, there are various different financial reasons why they'll probably be all right for, you know. I mean, they've been around for a long time.
Right. Who was the name? Do you guys? Comics Outpost. That was my place when I was a kid in the 80s. 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, Mark Patterson and Barry.
Yeah, that's the guy's name.
Yeah, he's a member of the group. He does.
Is he?
He draws comics himself. Always has.
I know he used to draw his. Yeah, he always used to draw stuff on the.
Yeah.
And when you walked in, he always draw he usually had these like mural things he'd draw.
Yeah, and he was actually the first person to really kick my butt and teach me to how to ink and do comics and stuff when I was just out of high school, and I was hanging out at the comic book store all the time, and he used to come up a lot, and he was ruthless, and he was really well educated, and he knew what the hell he was talking about. He was a great guy. I mean,
I like Mark. I haven't seen him in years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mark got out of the trade selling comics because of family crisis reasons, and he changed his whole life had to change around taking care of his parents, and then he eventually got married, and I believe he was working in the nursing or healthcare area for a long time, and he's got grandkids, I think, now.
Seriously, so, wow. I haven't, because I remembered him, and I had as I know one of the guys that worked for him, Brian Stratton, is a friend of mine on Facebook. I knew him from a couple of places, but I couldn't for the life of me remember. Yeah, Mark Patton. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike Patton.
Oh, we got another person. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do we have someone else?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello out there.
Hi, Jess.
Gene,
hi,
how you doing? Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Gene, what's going on?
Oh, I just happened to come online for a minute and saw that you guys were doing this. I totally have not been able to keep up with anything since I'm back to work.
Oh, right, of course, yeah. Hey, Gene, can you do me a favor? Google just reinstated this feature that allows for there to be a graphic with your name at the bottom third of the screen. So if you take your cursor and if you float it over the left, the toolbar kind of thing will slide out on that Google Hangout window.
Okay.
And there's a green dot with a little suitcase on it. If you click it says Hangout toolbar. So go over to the right where now you have some features, and you'll see the word lower third in white or in black on white. And just go all the way over to the right. There's a circle with a slider kind of looking graphic. If you just click that real quick.
All right, I'm lost here.
Okay.
I see the Hangout toolbox.
Yep, and then go. There's under the gray area, go down, and you'll see the word lower third. Right.
Click on the toolbox.
Nope, just it should be open right now, right? Did you click that green dot?
Green dot with the suitcase?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now on the right, there should be slid out a whole set of features on the right-hand side.
Now I got to, hang on, I got to choose who's my user.
Oh, it's giving you options. Okay.
It's Googling me something weird. Okay.
What does it say?
Hangout toolbox needs your, okay, display Hangout toolbox. Display name?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you just click on that white dot that's in the up there above display name on the right, little switch. Yeah, just click that switch in your.
There I am. Oh, it's backwards.
That's for you. It is, but not for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And then, do I have to click upload?
Nope, you don't have to do
nope,
anything.
You're there.
Just that one thing is all you got to do. Yep. Yeah. So now everybody who's watching can actually tell who these people are.
Okay.
So Jack's not here yet, but so I'm kind of thinking, I don't know if we should wait for Jack or if we should just get into it. It's up to you guys.
I'm good either way.
All right. Let me just check on the event. Maybe he might have written something like "I can't show up" or something like that. No, he's not saying anything.
Back coming?
He hasn't said anything.
I didn't think that I saw him RSVP.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. Well, I
didn't either. But
I just sent him a Facebook message. Well, let's just.
It was pretty impromptu anyway, so.
Yeah, I actually talked to him on the phone yesterday, and he knew what was going on. But but either way, it's all right. Let's just do it. So, all right. I'm gonna just. There we go. So yeah, so welcome folks to another C4 Comic Art Critique with your Vermont comic creators, Jesse DeRona, Gene Barbieri. Sorry, I always want to make it Barbieri. I don't know why. And Barney Smith. We may have some others in here, and of course we are missing Randall Drew and Matt Young. But
Randall Drew is currently moving, so he might be active again in September, he told me.
Oh, that's cool. But of course, they are in our hearts.
That's a medical condition.
Right. Yeah, so briefly, you guys want to talk about yourselves so that in case anybody's watching who isn't familiar with anybody who's here. This is streaming on YouTube this time instead of just being a private thing because I figured, it's always good to share.
I guess I'll start. I am Jesse DeRona. I am a cartoonist living in South Burlington. I do a macabre comedy comic called Dr. Professor Snugglebottom's Horrifying Housemates. It's been going pretty well. You can check that out at jessederona.com.
Okay, I go next. I'm Barney Smith. I have a website called storycomic.com, and presently I'm getting ready for our Comic Con with at least 3 of my titles. One is 2 Years, which is a satire of the time I spent in the Peace Corps. Another one's called Relief, which is the work that I which is a satire based off of the relief work I did overseas. And then I have my Lion and Dove satirical comic strip, which is about my relationship to my wife, intercultural marriage. So,
Jean?
Okay, hi.
Yeah.
Jean Barberi. I'm a novice comic artist, and with mainly a focus on inking at the moment and learning the art of inking. Hopefully that will lead me into more of the actual comic writing at some point. But as I said, I'm very beginner. Enthusiasm, little ability.
I don't agree with little ability, but
oh, well, thank you.
I don't think I'd be the only one. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, and I'm Greg Giordano. I'm also a fellow Vermont comic creator, and I've been doing art since high school, and doing professional art since senior year of high school. Design, illustration, caricature, did a little film school, multimedia design, and for the last 10 years I've been strictly doing freelance illustration when I can get it, and working on my own comics projects. Everybody in this lineup tonight happens to be a member of Vermont Comic Creators, which is a organization representing those people who live in the state of Vermont, and a few people from the North Country in New York, and a few people from New Hampshire that make their own comics or are heavily invested in learning the skills to create comics, whether that's individual skills, writing, drawing, inking, lettering, coloring, or to do the entire job themselves or with a creative partner. We have now 156 members, I think, and or something like that.
12 of which are active.
That's all right. I mean, that's just that's how that always.
Sorry, I don't mean to be an asshole. It's just so funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you know, that's actually. It's actually more than that are active, but yeah, I know what you mean. But that's how organizations go.
Yeah, that's how.
And also, a lot more people than 12 are active on the forum, which for us means our closed Facebook group. So if you are a Vermont area creator and you're either just getting into it, or you're just learning skills, or you're already an independent creator.
Is anybody else having a hard? Greg, you seem to be skipping in and out a lot.
No, it's actually I hear that from Eugene, strangely enough.
Yeah, you must be on Fairpoint.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay. But if you're an independent creator, or just a beginner completely, or a professional who simply just wants to network and have that kind of community with your fellow Vermont creators, and in as high, as deep, or as narrow a capacity as you feel like you can participate, definitely check out our group. It's a Facebook groups, Vermont Comic Creators Group, and we also have a public page called Vermont Comic Creators, which is sort of like our outgoing beacon for a lot of info. And at some point we'll have our website under control. Yeah, so, but tonight it's about crits and critique, meaning evaluating each other's work. Of course, we always end up discussing other topics if there's not enough stuff to critique, so that's also what we give ourselves the flexibility to do. And I'm just going to pick at random and say, Jean, why don't you tell us what you've been working on, and if you have stuff to show, that'd be awesome.
I heard unfortunately every third or fourth word.
Yeah, did you single one of us out? I missed it.
And then Greg keeps freezing up. I haven't really looked at anybody else is freezing up for me or not.
So for me, Gene freezes and nobody else.
Yeah, maybe I just log back in and out. Gene, I think it's your connection.
If you hit F5 on your keyboard, it'll refresh the window, and you'll just come right back into the call. And actually, everybody can do that, and it won't break the call at all.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. But I think maybe if Jean does it solely, because we're all okay. She seems to have some connection problems. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
How about now?
Okay.
All right.
Could also be if other people are like, I don't know, watching Netflix on your network or anything like that, that can cause it to slow down a lot.
Well, that just connect me.
Oh, you got bumped? Yeah, the thing about the way Hangouts works is that it will usually drop the quality to the lowest common denominator. So whoever has the weakest connection, it will tend to sort of drop everything down and try to meet that demand. I can't do anything on this end, but
refreshed everything. Hopefully, it'll be a little better.
Yeah. The other thing you can do too is think there might be a set area for a setting for your connection. Let me see if I can find that just real quick.
It's better now.
Oh, it is better. Okay, good.
It is better.
Great. Okay, good. That's good. So yeah, so I was going to say, if you wanted to start, Gene, and just let us know what you're doing, and if you don't have anything, then you can just tell us about how your work's going.
Well, I don't have any. I'm trying my hand at inking some other people's sequential art.
Oh, great.
And I don't have the actual name of the things in front of me because I've got it listed in my computer somewhere.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you have the physical art, oh yeah, you can just tell us what pages.
Well, I could do this. Is all I can really do right now because I'm not really prepared.
That's all right. Let me just get this up here. So this is working on Steve Rude. Looks like Nexus.
Right, yeah, Nexus. Yeah, it's Steve Rude. And that was basically the last thing I've done. I started something else, but it's far from done, and I might even start it over.
Whose work is it?
See, this is it. I have to go dig up the information. I'm going to start writing it on who did it on the pencil right away, so I have it, so I don't have to go back and dig it back up.
Right.
Because it takes a lot of time to go back and dig these things back up, and I always like to do that before I post anything, so that I can,
Did you post that Nexus page on the group on Wrong Comic Creators?
I think it may have. Yes, I did.
I thought so, but I'm not seeing it when I just searched for you, or I am searching for you on here. Maybe if I do your last name, because if I can find it on Facebook, I can show everybody. But real quick, but yeah, I'm not finding it. That's all right.
I might have a picture of it, but I don't know how to share a picture on here, so.
It's actually really easy. If you go to if you were to double click on the image, get it open on your computer.
Okay, I'll try.
So once that's open, now go to the left-hand side of the. Hang
on, I got to find the picture first.
Oh, okay. I'm a little ahead of you.
Yeah, it might be harder than I think. There
That's
we go.
Okay. One thing after we're done doing crits, if we have time, I wanted to bring up would be little stuff about what everybody's going to be doing for the convention coming up, Vermont Comic Con at the end of August. And if anybody's tabling or whatever appearing, I figured I would just use the opportunity to get into that information. Just let me know, Gene, when you have your image open.
Okay, I've got the image.
Okay, great. So now go back to the Hangouts window and go get that toolbar to open up again, except for you want to click on the second button down. It says Screen Share.
Okay.
And you'll see it says Share Your Screen. If you were to click on the right-hand tab instead of your entire screen, click on Application window. If you scroll through all those windows, you'll probably find the one where your photo is open.
There's only one, and it's the Google's Hangout. Oh, I know. I left that. I closed it. All right.
You closed the photo that you opened, or?
Yeah. Well, I
So
shrunk it. It's not in the application window. It's not showing it.
What do you have it open in? There's also a scroll bar on that field, so you can go down, down, down. There may be more than...
Oh, if I need to share it with something, what am I sharing it with?
You'll be sharing your screen using Hangouts by opening up that window that I told you to use in Hangouts.
Yeah, that's not working.
It's not seeing it?
No, it's not seeing it. Whatever I'm opening it with, it doesn't see it.
All right, that's okay. I just figured I'd give you an option.
Yeah, I was trying.
That's all right. So so you're using traditional materials to ink, right?
Yeah, I'm using just a couple of little brushes.
Yeah.
And this one that I just did, the Steve Rude Nexus, I did it with the I tried the Black Star High Carb.
Oh yeah.
Instead of the matte, and I actually think I like the matte better because it doesn't shine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, some people even mix them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some people do.
That might work.
Because maybe they want something that's a little more waterproof, but they don't. Maybe they like the matte look better. Yeah.
That and just some little a crow quill and a crow quill. Yep. And I don't know what kind of quill that is, but
that looks like an EF globe. That looks like the smaller
globe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all I've been using.
That's cool. And how do you feel about because it's been what is it now? Is it 5 months now? 4 months?
Well, I've only done 3 or 4 things, but
no, but I mean it's about that amount of time, right?
Yeah, I haven't done a lot in that amount of time.
I think the piece behind you by Tom Yates is one of the pieces that you did previously, right?
Yeah, this was done with the matte. I liked the matte ink better.
But with what tools?
Brush.
But with the nibs?
Just brush.
Just brush. Yeah, I mean it's really good stuff. I mean, people in the group have certainly said this already that they think that you're it's good inking.
Well, thank you. I got a lot to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
Mostly I feel like I need to learn about, because I've been doing these without, well, this one you could see the finished product, the Tom Yates, but this other one by Steve Rude, I'd never actually seen it finished before I inked it. So I was making the decisions blind. I didn't even really know what the characters looked like.
Yeah, right.
So from now on, I've decided I'm going to do a little research.
Sure. But actually, that's really good, though. That's a really good thing, though, with the blind thing, because frankly, that's forcing you to really do some drawing with your inking and to really force you to make some decisions, and that's a good thing.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I'm trying to learn the decision making of what should be dark, what should be left light, without any previous input, other than, okay, yeah, this character always has a black and green suit, so I know I have to put the black in, or whatever it is.
Right.
All it is, but yeah, that's mainly what I'm working on now, is learning to make good decisions with where I put the ink. to get the most depth within each frame. Or what do they call it? What's each square called?
A panel.
Panel, within each panel, to get the most depth that I can that's going to work for the picture, for the layout. So that's my focus now, really.
That's great. Have any of the other anybody else here seen Jean's work in the group?
Yeah, I think I saw that picture there that you showed us earlier. I remember seeing that on the group.
This one here?
Yeah, no, the other one. The
Nexus?
Yeah, the Nexus.
This one. I actually picked this one when I was looking for things to ink. I picked this one because I thought it would be easy. And then everybody's telling me, oh, Steve Rude's really hard to ink, And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because
this looks really simple,
Sure.
But I definitely learned a lot on it. I learned a lot. I still have a long ways to go, but.
What are you currently working on for practice? What's your newest thing?
Well, this one I'm doing, and I hate to show it because I can't remember I don't have it written down who the artist is, or who the penciler is, or I think it's called. It's something to do with it's a Greek god thing.
I bet Greg will know.
God or something.
Oh, hold on, you're freezing up. I'll just wait till that.
Greg is
This is not by any means finished, and I'm rethinking the light as I'm doing it because it's. I'm deciding that the light is mostly coming from the lightning strikes, which are up here in the sky, and I really want to change some of the way the decisions I made.
I have to be honest. I don't recognize the artist at all. But that's okay because it's just very clearly has a lot of detail and a lot of natural detail. So this is a perfect next thing to draw. It seems to me, or to ink, I should say.
I've done a little changing in the artwork up here because this was kind of floating on nothing, and so I decided to bring this mountain down a little bit. To create a mountain over here and continue and raise up this one so that it wasn't just floating in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Because there wasn't anything holding it up. But.
By the way, guys, I just downloaded Jean's page of Steve Rude from Nexus.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm going to share it with everyone so they can see a little better. Let's see if. So I don't know if you guys can see that better. I have it maximized.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's some definite things I know I need to change that people helped explain to me about it.
I think in panel 2 particularly you have a good capture on the whole. It feels like a wholly inked kind of thing. Also, the central figure in the third panel is quite nice.
The people mentioned about the lines off of the burst, and they definitely, I see that they need work. I'd never encountered doing that before, so.
Well, and also, like you said, you haven't read a Nexus comic, so you're not familiar with sort of the power and the kind of way it's presented and so on and so forth. So I think that's fine. Probably I'm sure you inked what was there, and my guess is that because Steve Rude tends to ink his own work, he only needs to just indicate some lines so that he knows what in his head is really going to be the final image. But I would say that you picked a very not difficult. I shouldn't say difficult, but you picked a sort of a high watermark kind of artist, and I think given all of that, this is really good. This is a really good start, and I think it's this is good. I mean, this is the second thing you inked, essentially trying to really do a full job. And I think for the second thing that you've done, I think it's quite strong. And
Well, thank you very much.
And you should, I know what other people are thinking, but I think there's strength. I think you're not over inking at all. There probably could be some thickening of a few lines and some deepening of some blacks and stuff. I mean, but it's like, it's certainly not over inked, which 90% of people who start, when they start inking, over ink, not under ink. So I think your self-control is quite there.
Oh, good.
And I think, this is brush, right? Or is this pen?
It's both. Brush and quill.
Yeah, so they work together. I'm not, other than the female figure in the back here, I mean, that is clearly all pen, but I think that could be solved by just a little bit of, some brush thickening here and there. But basically, I feel like your brush and pen are working together rather than looking like separate entities.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's brush, and oh yeah, that's, they're looking similar, which is good. And, I just think for early inking, this is strong. So
I basically, you just did kind of methodically did the brush in the heavy areas where I had to fill more in, and the quills on the everything else. But I think
what you'll find, will be good is when you finally get to the point where you're actually doing lines with the brush. And meaning like to switch back and forth and getting thick and thin by augmenting with the brush and, so forth. And then you'll start to have less sort of abrupt changes between what is brush and what is line or pen.
Okay.
But that's all I have to say. Does anybody else have anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I have never inked anything like this. So, I only ever ink my own stuff. So I don't really know any special techniques or anything
Well, it's okay also, even if you're speaking just from a reader, like if you just saw this page and you were just looking at it, as a comic, just solely on its own. You read comics.
I was a little distracted, so I may have missed what we talked about, but I mean, the lines on the hand don't really have the one that's firing out with the motion lines around it.
Yep.
Like firing the beam. It just kind of looks like it was scribbled in. It looks like it's like almost filled in, but hasn't really been finished yet. Just because the lines are very thick. And the explosion or like the beam or whatever it is, I don't know if maybe like some more line weight variation would make it look a little more dynamic.
Yeah, it definitely needs some help. I just haven't touched it, even though I've had people critique it, and I've gone back and kind of looked at it myself and gone, yeah, I could need some help. But I'm not touching it because I think what I'm going to do is to re-ink it in a couple of months and try again and see what round 2 brings to me.
I think that's good. I think it's good not to labor too much over something. You just finish it and move on, and if you want to do it again, you can.
That was my thought anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see how the lines, they're not really they're not very well laid out. They are a little bit uneven, and they could be same in his helmet. They could be a little cleaner. Those might have been brushed, actually.
There's also just, like as you build your sort of, I don't know, what do you want to call it?
Techniques?
Yeah, as you do more and more, there's this thing that always got hammered on me, and it's this term about like the confidence of the line, right? Your confidence.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not a literal term, right? Because it's
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The deliberateness.
Yeah, there's like an edge to it and a power to it, and of course, superhero comics and a lot of sci-fi material necessitates it because of it's all very angular storytelling, and there's a lot of explosions and things like that. So yeah, so like once you approach this again, particularly after you check out some Nexus books, you'll see how the real kind of power blasts work, and the sort of confidence of the slickness of the line, and those are things that will come with practice. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think research helps. It helps to know what the character's actually supposed to look like.
Right, and what they call that in animation and comics and a lot of different professions is being on model, right?
Oh, okay, it's a good term.
And likewise, when things look weird, they're off model. And if you ever pick up crazy dollar store knockoff toys or other kinds of things, right? There's a lot of things that in life are off model, and
right.
Like Ninja Turtles, Green Hero Warrior Man.
Right, Green Hero Warrior Man, exactly. And it'll be just like kind of a turtle, and it'll be all that stuff. So yeah,
or like the logo for McDonald's, like delicious burger, happy good now.
Yeah. All right, so that's great. So hopefully we'll see some more stuff, and you're going to be doing, keep chugging at it, because I seriously think that, or first of all, you just make, after you make like 100 pages, then it's just everything goes with increased activity in it, and the more and more you do, the better and better you get, the more line control and the more kind of confident and also powerful the inking will become, and and you'll just get better, but you're definitely on the right road. So
all right, only 97 and a half more pages to go.
Exactly, right? I was told 100 pages. Some people say it's 1,000, but whatever. It's just this. As you get more quantity, I think everybody here would agree that they're just doing better work now than they did when they first started, and it just is a cumulative thing.
Well, that's practice makes perfect. That's all I can do. And now, if I just had more time to do it.
That's right. The summer is going to come soon enough, right? So, or I mean I should say, whenever your cycle, where you're back out of your seasonal working. So and that's when you hammer, right?
Yep.
That's when you hammer on it.
Yep.
So let's go next. Let's go to
the input. I appreciate it.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Shit. Let's see. I prepared actually. I did.
Oh,
I dumped all the stuff I was working on onto my computer here. So only thing, I guess I'll show this first. I don't really want to go into it that much just because I know it needs work, but I did a commission for a friend recently, and came out okay. Let's see here. The important thing is that he loved it, but so I haven't this is actual like on paper with like brush pens and stuff, so I haven't messed with it in Photoshop at all, so this is just how it's scanned in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he gave me several photo references and was like, I want this pose, but I want this type of dragon, and I want this girl to have this special headdress because it's a thing that his sister actually made. So, kind of, yeah.
Yep.
Not bad. I hate what I tried to do with the horns, like the weird cross-hatching, which is not cross-hatching, it's shame-hatching. But other than that, sorry.
Wait, what cross-hatching are you talking about? I'm sorry. Oh, I see what you're saying.
The dragon antlers.
Yes.
And the background is very slapdash, but that was kind of the point. I just wanted the importance is on the foreground characters. So
yeah.
Did this last week before, somewhere in there.
It's always difficult when you're doing something. It's like when somebody's like going, okay, I want this here and that there, and blah, blah, blah. I used to deal with a lot of that in a previous incarnation.
Yeah, it's probably the most specific a commission has ever gotten from me, anyway. So.
Yeah, I agree with you on the antlers. But other than that, it's got a nice whimsy to it.
Cool.
And you definitely have like the background lines being nice and thin like that really makes it so that the dragon and the girl stand out more.
Yeah.
Thicker line on them.
Yeah, there was definitely some line weight stuff that I was struggling with, especially in the dragon, because there's like different parts that are more pronounced than others. So.
Yeah. So is this a completed work?
Yes. The idea is that he's actually getting this like crazy tattoo on his leg, and this is going to be part of it. But most likely, and he told me this up front, he was like, he's going to get a more realistic rendering of it. So he didn't need it to be perfect. He just needed to give the tattoo artist something that they could, I think more than anything, he could have told me, he could have told the tattoo artist what he told me for this like rendering, but I think he just wanted me to do it for him.
Uh-huh. Well, that's nice.
Mm.
It's nice to
the
have.
The whole time I'm working on it, like, okay, so he's going to give this to somebody who's going to make a more realistic rendering. He could have given the tattoo artist the photos, but
right.
I was proud and happy to do it. So
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it would make a really great coloring book page.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Not your average kid's coloring book, but still, it could definitely. It's not. It's definitely still kid friendly.
Yeah. Well, the adult coloring book fad, I'm assuming that's still going on, but
probably.
Yeah. I got a couple of those. I ended up giving them away because it's like, I don't want to color someone else's shit.
I can't say anything. I ink other people's stuff all the time. So.
That's different, though. For me, it would just be wasting my Copic markers when I could just be practicing on my own art with that. But you're learning inking techniques, so that's, I think, completely different and totally valid. But for me, like I'm sitting there and I'm coloring in someone else's work, and I'm just like, I should be practicing my own stuff. But again, I think that inking is completely separate and very important to get that practice in. Anyway, I mean, does anyone have anything they want to say about this one in particular? Because I have other stuff I can show.
I like it's fun. It's fun to see or like to recognize your style immediately. Like you have the same eye. Like if I didn't even see the dragon piece, I see. Well, I would put it this way: the person itself, you can tell it's a Jesse DeRona work.
Yeah, because the head's too big. No, just kidding.
You have a way that you make the eyes and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm noticing a funny pattern here. I'm gonna give me 1 second here, and I'm gonna show the last the last 6 Dr. P's housemates. They don't have balloons yet, but all the art is done on them.
I would like when you're done with Barney, I do want to say something about the piece that you might find kind of interesting. So
sure.
I'm talking to Mark. Mark Patterson. Since you told me about it, I sent him a friend request, and now he was grilling me to see if I knew him. I'm like, yes, I know you, and he's like, no, we've been chatting.
Oh my
God. Yeah. Barney, did you have anything else you wanted to say about it, or was that it?
That was I like it. I like how it's like a lighter lines in the background.
Tell Mark he should join us.
He should actually.
Yeah, he's got some stuff.
So the one thing I was going to Oh crap! Now I'm hearing my words in my headset. So I was gonna say.
Hey, Lisa.
Somebody's echoing. Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Does this thing work?
It does
work.
Excellent.
Everybody, this is Lisa Cotton, who's also a member of Rock Comic Creators. Are you using your phone?
Yeah, this is the only way I can really do this.
Yeah, it's
shockingly, it sounds better than some of us.
I know. Good for you for getting in, though. That's great. That's awesome. And then, like, next time you can just get Chrome on and all that stuff.
Get your Chrome on.
Yeah, good to have you in. I just want to finish with Jesse. So we're doing you've been watching the video, so if you have things to say too and add in, please do. So I was like, this is really I really enjoyed this piece a lot. For a number of reasons, and one of them is just purely online in general. I just really like this a very deliberate. It's like there are 3 line weights in here, and it's just very, very like, certain things are this line weight and certain things are that, and there's a real like there's a lot of focus here. So I really like that. I like the super flatness of it, and the way that even though the character, the sort of kind of Day of the Dead, but also sort of vaguely Eastern European pagan kind of character that she is. The headdress in particular reminds me of some very interesting Slavic headdresses that I've seen that have a lot of beadwork and antler type shapes and things like that. So she's very intrigued, despite the fact she's at a 3/4 view. She's still really flat and like equally like everything is nicely in tune with everything else. I feel like, and so that being the case, you're doing this really great job of distancing like the background trees by having them such a fine line as opposed to other things. Like it's nicely thought out. And it really. There's things aren't over inked again. It's like it's really just on. It conforms to itself, and it's really nice. And it's also very fluid, which I find like that's very appealing.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of open space in it. There's room to fill it. It's not overwrought. And so all those are great things. The drawing itself is really good, but there's 15 different ways you can ink this drawing, and the way you chose to ink it almost in the way that one would choose to ink a coloring book or something, and that's really interesting. And I actually think like whoever this is given to, I mean, they could run off like 100 if this was for a small kid. I don't remember if you said that it was or not.
This is for a friend of mine from work who's going to give it to a tattoo artist as reference. They're going to render it in a more like Dungeons and Dragons style illustration and do a tattoo of it on his leg.
Well, I would say that, I think you'd be foolish not to have your art as it is on his leg. So hopefully the tattoo artist will be like, I don't need to do anything to this and deviate too much. But
yeah, I mean, who knows what it'll actually end up looking like. But yeah.
I would say that a child would have an enormous amount of enjoyment out of coloring this. And also it would be interesting to see your approach to coloring it as well. Because there's also a stained glass window kind of thing going on too, to me. Very much so, it could be even done up that way. And I think this would make a really beautiful print. The only thing that for me, I would agree. I think the horns, the hatching could be more thought out, or no hatching at all.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Or black, but to sort of balance.
See, black would be the easiest because I could just fill it in.
Yeah, and it might work to balance off of her dress and hair.
Yeah, they do look kind of separate in that way because she has a lot of flat blacks on her and the dragon does not at all.
Well, I just mean, it might be kind of nice, but the other drawback to that could be because those antlers, so much of the detail is intertwined, overlapping, you might lose the ability to know what it really is there. If
I could lose its definition.
You might have to put in some heavy white lines where there's overlap in order to get them apart.
I was thinking about that. I'd have to get a white pen, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and even if you wanted to change this illustration for future usage or something, it would be very easy to do separate paper and simply, you know, paste it up on top or whatever. But it would just but overall, like, that's a minor issue in relation to the rest of it. I think your scales and the dot scales and so forth are again, it's a lot of control. I just see a lot of control and a lot of thinking, pre-thinking. So it's good. But I wanted to show you something that you may not be aware of, and it's there used to be a really, really, really successful coloring book company in the hippie 70s called Troubadour Press. And I'm going to share you a website here so you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So Troubadour Press was like one of the top independent coloring book companies in the 70s and into the 80s. A lot of really cool art. And show you here. This piece that you're doing reminds me a great deal of the style of this main artist. I can't remember his name. It was Mark Savvy, and sometimes he worked often with his brother.
Cool.
I had a number of these when I was a kid, and I only really recently rediscovered them. He did another one with monsters. There's that was just crazy cool.
Oh, that's great.
And the monster one is like probably the one that people remember the most. The Monster Gallery, it was called.
My God, anyway, look at all them tabs.
Right. I'm a tab man. What of
What's
it?
the guy's name?
Tab man.
So
oh wow.
Yeah, so I'll send you the link. And,
awesome.
You want to check out Mark Savvy. And,
yeah, those are cool.
And his work for Troubadour Press, because this is like, you could learn everything about drawing that kind of style, even if it wasn't for coloring books, from this one artist in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really cool looking.
So,
move on to something else here, but I did want to say one thing that I found funny is that when you said that she has that slight angled turn to her, and that despite that she looks flat, I was really trying to make her look not flat, because the reference drawing he gave me was in profile, and I was like, that's going to look really boring.
No, I don't think it looks boring at all. I think it's actually quite nice.
I mean, if it were in profile, that's what I was kind of worried about.
Oh, profile, yeah. Yeah, no, your choice is really good, and it's just like in Egyptian hieroglyphics or any number of, or classic, there's a lot of like a bas-relief style, carving or whatever. It's just really nice. It's nice because of its combination of what is flat and what is not flat, I think it works very well. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, everyone. It's funny because I was looking at it again, and I was like, I don't think I like this as much as I did, but it's good to hear that it's mostly the anxiety of being an artist, as it were.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just wondering, too. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, please.
I was just wondering, too, with you're mentioning about the cross-hatching on the horns and stuff. I was wondering, what if you had the lines kind of like following the curve of the horns? Would that be better?
Oh, yeah, like a tree trunk. That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. I'll keep that in mind. I think what I'll do is if I can get permission from my friend to use it in something else, just because, it's really his piece, I could see about maybe like redoing it. I mean, I could redraw it myself if I felt like it. I just print out another copy or something. But anywho, thanks for that. And so we'll share the ones that I've been working on right now for Dr. P.
I love these. I love these.
Again, they don't have the word balloons, but
It's so cute.
it's more the art. So like for this one, Lucy, the ballerina, was dancing on her way home, and all the animals followed her into the house. And so Dr. P wants her to get rid of them, and she's like, when you say get rid of them, you mean feed them to Crunch, right? And he's like, obviously I mean feed them to Crunch, yes.
Too funny.
I noticed, as I was going through these, I noticed a funny trend. And this next one, it's, no, I don't click on that. I click on the actual thing. There we go. I'm using this light pen that I found in Procreate a lot, that when you draw with it, it just like creates an outer glow.
That's cool.
It's been pretty neat. I've been really liking what happens with it.
That third panel, that's great.
Yeah, that took forever to get right.
That's so great.
Real quick, how come I usually been able to, like, every time someone talks, it'll automatically go to their frame, but for some reason I got stuck on Greg's page.
Oh, you probably because you clicked on it. If you click on mine, it should.
Yeah. So do I have to manually do this now?
I think.
Or just re-click on you, and it will you know.
I did figure out if whoever's hosting clicks on it, it'll stay up for everyone.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'll kind of do almost a lightning round. Like, did anyone have anything they wanted to say about this one?
I think things have been tightening up as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the new thing that I really like about this, you know, because I think each time there's always something that kind of appeals to me, and the thing that's hitting me right off the bat right now is that your sense of space is really upping. That is getting way better. Like in the not 3D, the depth of space from background to foreground to background is much more, I don't know, like solid or real, or I feel like I'm looking at panels of a movie or frames of a movie or frames of an animated thing, and it feels like I'm just seeing distance. Whereas, and this is a new jump to me, because before things were a bit on top of each other. Now suddenly not so much at all, and I'm very, I'm kind of really fascinated by that. So there's that. I think your tone to tone to tone sort of choices are much more deliberate to me, even if they're not conscious. It just feels like you have a light and a medium gray and a medium dark and a dark and a black, like, you know what I mean, like much more than before.
I have a very limited palette when I do these.
It seems very clearly like you're on your palette, like you're not deviating.
Yeah.
And there's only a few choices. There are a couple of funky things that almost everything is on the warm gray palette, but then that doorknob where you stick in the key in is on the cool gray, which is a little. It's not big, but it's just like.
I figured since it was metal, it would be.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, I'd have it be all this on the same, you know, warm.
The same, cool. Like warm or cool. Okay.
Yeah. It looks blue to me.
Yeah, it totally is.
Oh.
His bow tie is as well, but that's always been a thing.
Have you changed his eyes?
I have.
Okay, I thought he had. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
As a seamstress, it really bothers me that there's no stitching.
See, it's funny because I did think about that when I changed it, but the problem is that it didn't look. I couldn't get it to look like anything but X's, or just poorly done. It just never looked right to me when I was doing it.
Yeah, then if you put an X on it, then it'll look like he's dead. That's like the cartoon version. Someone's dead.
Well,
their eyes are X's.
If you look at some of the old ones, it got the point across. It didn't look like, it just looked cheap to me. It's like have you ever like drawn something forever and then you realize, shit, I don't actually know how to draw this thing. So like it's like, oh, yeah, right. It's like, oh, I want to draw a rose. How do you draw a fucking rose?
If I just sorry to interrupt, I just wanted to get my few items and then I can move on to the next person. The only thing that is funky is the placement of the door against the wood paneling. In the top left panel, it is completely like on the same line on the left edge as one of the grooves in the paneling, and in the almost the third of center on the right. But on the bottom panels, it is essentially kind of pretty close to dead center. So I would just say, like, you might want to squish your door on the top left one, or widen the others. But I think
I would never notice.
But I mean, well, those are just little things. They're it's not. There's some uniformity there. The bigger thing though to me is, oh, sorry, it just flipped to the next one.
Yeah, I just moved on just because.
Oh, all right.
But
what's that?
Oh, it's just I'm kind of going lightning round, but I'm still listening to what you're saying though.
Well, the perspective of the door in the last two panels is not following with the perspective of the wood paneling.
Yeah? See, the problem is that is like the wood paneling is a cheat. It's a brush, and I haven't quite figured out how to get it to line up the way I want to and have it be consistent. I've been trying to figure out how to make my own, but it's just hard to get it to land.
No, I'm saying that like all you have to do is lay in your once you get everything in there, just take the door, cut it out of the art, and then do a free transform and widen it at the bottom or something like that. But you could also free transform the paneling at the top as its layer as well, if it was
we're just talking about how it's not lining up with the door frame, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not like where it doesn't matter at the bottom too much, but where it starts to throw it off with just a little bit is at the top. Mm-hmm. So the thing you could do is like brush in that on its own layer, and then just use a transform tool with the what is it? There's a perspective tool on the transform tool, and then you can just pull out the top or pull in the bottom, or wherever you can adjust. You can it makes it malleable, and you can like make it match the door frame.
All right. No, there's this one. But I've been having a little too much fun with the outer glow brush.
I like that glow. That's pretty cool.
I do too.
The glow's good.
Yeah, I like the glow. It reminds me of what's the name of that little Game Boy thing from Adventure Time?
Yeah, BMO.
Yeah.
It's funny. I thought about that after, but it is a very similar thing. Yeah. And then there's the perspective on that third one is a little weird because I ended up changing the guy's size, but like here it looks like the phone should be like 3 times its actual size, but I'm hoping it's just kind of easy to ignore.
Yeah.
So that's a phone?
Yes. In the dialogue, which is not here, he goes like, "Hey, a cell phone. How did I miss this?" So makes it a little more clear.
So where did the knife come from?
I don't know.
It's a transformer. It was inside of him the whole time.
Pretty much. That's kind of like there's a couple of things in the story. So like something that I have a huge problem with is I'm way too anal when it comes to like knowing exactly how all these things fit together. So it's like my stories are like almost too tight where they don't have enough of a wackiness to them. So like I'm trying to say fuck it for a lot of these comics. It's like, okay, they live in a dollhouse, but they have a full-grown man in their basement. How does that work? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's like there is stuff that obviously wouldn't matter, but like the most important thing to me is that the characters all stay true to their personalities and that they interact with each other the way that they would based on my chart that I've created, essentially. So everything around it, I'm okay with it being like, where'd the knife come from? It doesn't matter. It's a cell phone that runs around brandishing a knife.
I like it. I like that because it keeps you guessing. You just never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and pretty much his last line is, "What is wrong with this place?" So it's like, it's kind of, he's almost the audience sometimes in a way, but like, here's another one. Real quick. This one's a two-parter. Essentially, Jack draws a symbol on Agnes's forehead, and it opens a portal.
What's on the other side?
Sucks her in.
Burp.
Oh, it sucks her in?
Yeah.
Okay, so she looks like she's coming out of it.
Yeah, everyone has told me that. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah, you turn her around so she's going into it.
But I needed to see her face, though.
So turn her head
Well,
so she's looking back behind her.
Right. Well, rather than turn her around, what you can do is if you do some speed lines off of her body parts, there's directly coming out of her hands, out of her chin, off of her forehead. People tend to accept that if it's actually connected to the body, it's going in the direction that the speed line. The speed lines are essentially like going away from something to something. So I think that would pretty much take care of it. The other thing that you could do, I guess, is you could sort of copy and paste her a few times with a pretty heavy blur. And like set those in front. So like, in other words, there's like a blur of her going in. But I think if you just have speed lines coming off the hands, the eyes, the chin, a few places, then that would probably do it.
Also, what about changing the word bubble to go left of the panel? The word bubble, change it to go, instead of going from left to right, have it turn it around from having go like, so she should be screaming from the other direction, not into
so you're saying start with the H's and then end with an A?
No, not to make it say ha, but make it
like mirror the entire thing.
Move it to off the panel behind Snuggle Bottoms because she's coming from that direction.
So that it doesn't go into the vortex.
Yeah, she's coming from where her face is now is where the voice should be, where it should be ending.
Yeah, I guess it should have been head first, but I mean, is this all nitpicky stuff or does it really detract from it?
No, I would go what Greg suggested to see if because if you're making the motion happen, if you're making the motion lines to show that she's coming from that direction, her voice should be coming from that direction too. Because from here, if the way the word bubble is set up now, it shows that she came from there because the voice is coming from the hole. But if you switch it around and make the voice come from the other direction,
I think that might be an way easier fix than turning her around.
I guess I still don't quite know what you mean.
Let me see here. Is there a way I can?
This is where it'd be great if we had like real, conference call stuff where you could do whiteboard and stuff, because then this person could just sketch on the picture and say, hey, this is what I mean. So it's a little hard.
Well, actually, I can if I can screen share real quick and I can just draw something up real quick. Maybe that might. Let me.
Well, you could just just take a screen grab and do what you got to do, and you can offer that. Although I think Jesse's kind of running through the pages, so it maybe.
Yeah.
I should have drawn it in black, not blue.
Yeah. Anyway, here's the last one. I think I'll probably just go with speed lines. See if I can fix that.
So see the bubble going the other way?
We're just sharing his view right now, so but I don't get it. I'm just kidding.
What are we talking about now?
Your cartoon.
Oh.
I can't see the bottom part of it because of the people, because of us. I can't see what's on the table on the bottom 2 panels.
Oh, that's weird.
It's just because of the size of our screen.
Oh, maybe I can resize my screen. Hold on.
Yeah, and also if you go up, you can do hide participants, and you can hide all of our faces.
Oh. I don't know how to do that. All right. He doesn't like that music, does he?
Well, again, this is one that loses everything without the dialogue.
Sure.
She says that it won't stop playing, and he's like, I know how to fix it, and he smashes it, and it's like, see, no more music, all better. So, yeah.
She has to dance if there's music, huh?
She can't stop dancing. She's cursed, essentially.
Right. I love in panel 1, I love the silhouette of him. When you see his open mouth.
Yeah, I feel like
I love that.
Yeah, there's like a trend going where I felt like I was missing some creepy imagery, so I wanted to try to add more in, even if it's not really like, even if it doesn't necessarily work. It's just like, okay, creepy silhouette, cool.
It does work though. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
I love the paneling. I just love that wood paneling.
Oh.
Is that something new?
Nope, that's been there since the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah, I just. You know what it makes me think of a bit is the. It reminds me of the because of what your theme is. It takes me to the 70s. It reminds me of, so then I think of like the 70s 19 horror movies like Amityville Horror or something like that.
It actually reminds me of my parents' basement because they have the faux they have the faux wood on their walls in the basement.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
Reminds me of.
I love the wood paneling. It is.
It gives it a realism to it in such a subtle way, but it works so well.
Yeah, I really wanted it to look kind of vintagey. Because my thought was always that they live in a very old dollhouse. So, but like I didn't necessarily want to get an idea of like how old it is, so it's got like a little bit of everything, just because all the characters are from different eras too.
Oh yeah.
So one last thing that I just want to, this is very, very rudimentary, but I just want to get an idea if this is what people were thinking of, and I'm gonna make it look a little bit better, but like to make it look more like she's being sucked in rather than being fired out like a Powerpuff Girl. Let's see what I want to see if this is kind of what people were thinking of when they were talking about that. So like her arm, like I have little lines. Would it be something like that, or would it be different?
No, you're going the other way.
Yeah.
You want to go the opposite direction.
Oh, okay.
The speed lines are always coming off the back of the thing in the direct, pointing towards the, in the opposite, essentially the opposite direction of that you're going. Like
I don't know.
Okay.
The speed lines are essentially the trail that is left behind the thing. Right?
Okay.
I don't know if you can see. Can you see that in my little picture?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See the way I did
like,
the words?
Yeah.
Like
okay. Like the word balloon as well.
Mm-hmm.
The word balloon.
yeah, I don't think I'm going to change that just because I think it would mess it up a little too much with what I have already and how the layers are set up. But
Yeah.
definitely look at the speed lines though and see what that does.
What if you just clipped the end of the bubble so that it didn't actually go into the vortex?
Yeah, I don't know. See, it's funny because I thought that was actually like, to me, I'm learning a lot tonight. I thought that it going into the portal made it look like it was going into the portal as opposed to coming out.
Yeah, no, because imagine classic speed, speed lines, Astro Boy. That'd be a great example of exactly the same pose that you're doing, except for you need the opposite speed lines. But if you Google any picture of Astro Boy, you'll see the speed lines coming out of his feet, and he's shooting off in the opposite direction. And so in your case, you're actually that page has a very classic, almost like Astro Boy kind of flying pose, except for she's not flying out of the vortex; she's actually getting sucked in. So you want the speed lines from the other direction.
Okay. Try to find some ideas here.
Also, Mark Patterson is here in spirit. He is watching live on YouTube, but for some reason he cannot seem to, the live chat is not working. He can't type in there. There's something wacky going on. So he will relay his barbs, bon mots, and jeers via the Facebook messaging service, and I will be his mouth. I will be like his Aaron to his Moses. Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, so Mark just said, actually, you guys are going way too fast for me to type. Although in that one panel, the dude should have put the vortex next to the teddy bear's head, and that way the Powerpuff Girl would have been sucked into it instead of looking as though she was flying towards him. Just my opinion. Okay. And there was his opinion.
Okay.
But I think Mark might agree that he said, or if she was being sucked into it, elongate the figure so the action is clearer. But I think also,
well, see, I tried to do that with the legs. I tried to make it look like they were being like pulled in.
And I think they are. She is really, really stretched like taffy. So I might not agree completely with that, but I think for sure, just a good speed lines on her body. You might even, I don't know if you can, but you could even see what it looks like taking out those other big lines and just rely on the speed lines coming off her body. That might help clarify it more too.
Okay.
Just because obviously you can manipulate it a little bit digitally without tearing the whole thing apart. So, you could try it. I think though, in the end, the suggestions that have been presented are really good. I definitely wouldn't redraw the panel.
I just had an idea.
Mm-hmm.
What if, hey Jess, I don't know if you, what if you had lines that came from the from the vortex though, and went past her towards Professor Snugglebottom and the rest of the room. So it looked like there were more things being sucked in than just her.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that kind of what it has now, though?
Can you put it back
open it up again?
See it again. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what it has now.
And maybe have his ears also maybe being pulled a bit.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he does. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we might go in circles here a little bit just because, I mean, I tried to make it look like he's being pulled forward and his ears are being stretched in it, but let me see here.
Well, one thing's for sure, I cannot draw your characters like you can.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so let's see that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it is
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe more lines?
more, or maybe some more unevenness to it.
Like where they break up a little more, like speed lines tend to be
Yeah.
a little more broken. Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, I mean, you know, are those lines on a separate layer, Jesse?
They are not.
They are not. Okay, yeah. So it's
They were, but the way I have to be able to make it still be printable, I have to merge some of the layers as I go, because Procreate doesn't like to have more than 19 layers up at a time with this particular format that I use to keep it printable.
Oh, because you're doing it entirely in Procreate rather than doing the let's say the drawing and so forth, and then going into Photoshop for next turn.
Yeah, the only thing that goes into Photoshop is the text.
Oh,
Everything is. I've somehow been able to do it all from here.
From there, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because okay. So there's some pretty hardcore technical reasons why you can't just like break it out and so on.
Yeah, I mean, I did end up merging them. They weren't merged at first, but then I ended up doing that. But yeah,
because you need those layers to be available for other things.
What if she was holding on to a chair or something?
Like the chair she was sitting in the last one. It's kind of a big sofa.
She's holding on to the back of the chair or something, so she's like, ah!
Or you could change the word saying say I'm being sucked in.
There you go. Even better, you could have a caption while she's saying that, saying, meanwhile, as she was sucked into the vortex, like
you could have like an old-timey narrator.
So let's wrap this.
What is this, Dick Sprang?
I know. So let's wrap this up.
Oh no, he punched me and then threw me off this building.
Meanwhile, as the Joker was punched and thrown off of the building.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then there'd be somebody
being punched and thrown off the building.
Yeah, and then there'd be someone on the ground going like, "Holy smokes! Batman just punched the Joker and threw him off the building."
Yeah.
Which actually might be funny, but. But I think too many cooks spoiling the soup. I think that in the end,
I'm feeling a little frustrated. If we were getting to the diminishing returns here, I can't quite figure out what the right answer is.
Right, and what the right answer is that each one of these approaches that everybody has brought up are in their own way legit approaches, right? And the reason why we can't get anywhere, I think, is because all of them are legit. And it's just up to you to figure out what would be best for you and your overall style and the way that you do your stuff. So like I would say, like, I think they're all decent suggestions. And one of those approaches may work. And then in the end, it's one strip, right? It's one on the way to many, many more. So, but I think it works either way. I think you're fine. In the end, I mean, she's going into something, right? I mean, there's a vortex with a shape that is stretched into the shape, and in the end, she is not there anymore. So I think it's very possible we're all overthinking it and realize that like somebody else is going to read it and go, "Hey, she's in the panel on the top, and she's stretched somewhat into the vortex. Now she's gone, and there's a burp noise, which burp always means digestion or swallowing." So I think, given everything that happens in the 3 panels, I think it communicates it to me.
And I mean, there is also the entire panel before it too. Right. The entire page before it, which
context.
I'll just put that back. Like on its own, I definitely agree that it looks like she's Astro Boying out of the portal, but coupled with
I think
this
it's great
one,
that that's a verb now.
Yeah, Astro Boying.
Yeah, I mean, since it's at least a 2-page sequence, I mean, yeah, I think you're fine. I think you're good. Yeah.
Going forward, though, I will keep all of this in mind. I think for now, I'm probably just going to leave it alone, though.
Yeah.
As long as when you look at it with both pages, at least you can understand what's happening. If it's like, does anybody think that it's like more than like, is it really distracting, or is it like something that I really should be trying to figure out right now?
You mean the other that panel on the other page?
Yes.
All right, I'll just go first and say, no, I think it's okay. I think there are other approaches, but I think it's okay.
Okay. What does everyone else think?
Gene?
I think if you
Barry?
put it in, oh, sorry. If you put it, when you look at it in the sequence, I think it's fine. Looking at this scene and then the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of what I thought.
It leaves it to the viewer to fill in the blank on how she gets turned around. Because even in this panel 4 that's up now, it's showing her head first towards it.
Yeah.
So I think it would be okay in the long run. Would I think it was better if it was either she was turned around or somehow there was something that's showing a little bit more of the sucked in motion. But you do have the burp there, so eventually the viewer comes to it. I do think it's a little confusing. Maybe it'll be better with the words, all the words and stuff, when all the dialogue.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
What if she was holding Professor Snugglebottom's hand as she's getting sucked in? I don't know. I don't know how she gets turned around. So I mean, it's stupid, dumb, nitpicky stuff, probably. I'm anal, so don't me.
Lisa, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. For me, what's doing it for me is her expression. It almost looks like as if she needs to be. I know that's the way her eyebrows go, but I think I would change her eyebrows just a little bit, sort of thing, just to kind of match what's going on, sort of thing.
So you mean like opposite angle, worried expression rather than the scowling?
Make her look less angry.
Yeah, just a little less angry, just to show, like, because when the way her expression is right now, it does look like as if she's, coming out of the portal and stuff, rather than being sucked in.
That's a good.
I'll have to look worried. Yeah,
That's
have her look worried or something.
Wide-eyed.
I'm totally going to mess with that, and I have a feeling that is going to be the simplest yet most effective answer.
Yeah.
Because
I really,
if she's wide-eyed, she's surprised, right? So.
Right, exactly. It's just like she's just always pissed off, so it's hard not to draw her like that.
And that's funny because Mark Patterson's also saying at the moment, he's like, make her look terrified, not pissed.
Okay.
So there we go. Those are easy.
All right. I'm going to mess with this right now, and then we'll after someone else goes, because I've taken up way too much time, we'll have an epilogue and we'll see what this looks like.
Right. All right. So Lisa, do you got anything you want to talk about?
An after credit scene, as it were.
Here, I'm just going to unplug my phone so I can turn it around and stuff.
Okay.
While you guys were talking and all that, I was actually sketching, and some of you know that I haven't really been able to really draw all that much. I just haven't been into it. But while you were talking and all that, I drew. This is a Griffin character of mine. So I don't know if you guys can see this or not.
If you hold it still for long enough, sure.
Yeah. There you go. Good.
Is that a Griffin?
Yeah, this is my Griffin character named Clax.
Wow.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you. You probably see shadows in there too. I've had an idea of maybe doing a comic if I can actually get back into drawing again. Currently, it's a cross between just either really bad art block, and I also have a lot of things I need to get crocheting because I'm going to be selling crocheted stuff at a couple of conventions that are coming up in September and October. Other than that, it's just trying to get back in the game again.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if people are familiar with Lisa's work, but she has pretty exceptional comics that the quality of her work is really, really there. And
Yes.
And she also does commission sort of pinup style work as well, in addition to the crocheted work that she does. And for those who haven't seen it, I'll try to make a link at some point so you guys can check out her work. I mean, Lisa's a member too, and if you searched her name, you may or may not, depending on Facebook search and the group thing working right, which is really the biggest problem, would see the stuff that she put up a while ago, because Lisa's an early member. At this point, you're actually an early member, which is funny. But her work, which is anthropomorphic, so animal humanoids, is really, really nice stuff. It's extremely well done, and it's so it'll whenever it gets to the point where you're there to be able to do that work again. I know that people will be very pleased to see it.
Yeah, I also do medieval illuminations because I'm in the SCA and stuff.
So, that's right. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get this here to load just to show real quick here. This is what I did just recently. I don't know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like
lower it a little bit.
I love that. That looks awesome.
So that's one of the things that I've been doing, and I just love doing illuminations and stuff.
Mark Patterson said, nice Griffin, if she can put together a drawing that quickly, I'll bet her finished stuff kicks ass. And he said, yes, I was right.
Yeah, I'd really like to see more of what you do.
Yeah, I haven't done much. I haven't done much drawing or anything like that in general, but when I used to, I can maybe do something that's fully inked, colored. I do a combination of markers and pencil crayons, and if it's a full background or something, it maybe takes about a week or so, depending on how much it kills my wrist. But I mean, I used to go to the furry conventions, and that's what I used to do, is just take commissions while I'm there and stuff. But ever since this block, I haven't been able to do it. So,
well, that's a shame, because I just saw that one little sketch, and I would love to see what you've done previously. I'm gonna try to see if I can look up some of your stuff with follow that link, and I hope you can find it in your spirit to get back to it.
Well, here, I'll show you one more here. This was the last drawing that I actually did before this whole block happened. Okay.
It's too bad you can't get Hangouts onto your desktop, because that would be really super easy to share these.
Yeah.
It'd be easier for you to share them.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
It's a little less detail, but yeah, we can definitely see. Yeah, it's all really good stuff.
Wow.
That was done when I was a guest of honor at the furry convention up in Montreal, and the theme was fairy tales. So I made my own little version of the Hansel and Gretel thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that was a Hansel and Gretel house.
Mm-hmm.
It had the real gingerbread feel thing going on.
And that was made back in, I think, 2013. So I haven't really done anything like that since then. Maybe little sketches here and there, and doing my illuminations, but that's about it.
Well, there's hope. I pretty much didn't do anything for 10 years. So, and then I just switched mediums. So. It's in you. It will come back.
I hope so.
It will.
I remember yeah. I'm just looking at your stuff again, Lisa. I remember you posting this stuff now. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys do a
that one wish comic strip. I remember that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell I really like Cracker Barrel?
Hey, Lisa, are you familiar with a comic artist of the? I mean, she's still doing work, but she was fairly heavy production during the '80s. Named Donna Barr. She kind of came out of the. She kind of came out of the sort of post-underground scene that started in the early '80s when people were starting to self-publish, and she's been doing a book off and on for a really long time called Stints, which is Stinz, and it's a really great book about a centaur who's an officer in the German army in, I want to say it's World War II, but it might be World War One. No, it's World War II because it came out of another book she did, which was about the lesser known gay brother of Erwin Rommel, which was this character she kind of made up called I can't remember what his name. It was some kind of joke name, but anyway, this character Stintz was the centaur, and there's things where I think you and her have some similar things going on in your comic art, and then also just on your usage of animals and things like that. You might want to take a look at her because she's more just because I think you would enjoy her books, like period.
Mm-hmm.
The Desert Peach, that's what it was, because Rommel was the Desert Fox and his brother was the Desert Peach. But then this character of Stintz came out of Desert Peach somehow, and I think, and anyways, the Centaur book is the one you want to take a look at for sure. But her name is Donna Barr, Barr.
Okay, yeah, I just found her on Google search here now.
Yeah, to dive in because I think you'd really love her books and the way she sort of does her work. But
yeah, because eventually, if I ever do get back and want to do this one comic, it's not the only furry related thing is going to be Clax, but he's more of a talking griffin rather than an anthropomorphic griffin sort of thing. And the rest is just going to be like either humans, elves, and whatever and stuff. So a typical fantasy type of setting. So I'm also learning how to see if I can draw people, because I find that human heads and faces are one of the hardest things for me to draw right now. So I've just been like looking on YouTube and finding different tutorials and whatever seems to work, sort of thing.
Check out. Sorry, Greg.
No, go ahead, please.
Just I want to jump in on that right away. There's an artist on YouTube. I think we've talked about him before, called Draw with Jazza, Jazza, and he's an Australian guy, and he has this like heads tutorial, which totally like changed. I want to say it changed my life because now my characters actually have skulls. So it was very, very useful for me. So I think it's like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 minute thing. It might be longer. I can't remember, but if you look for that, I think you'll find it. But I would definitely recommend his stuff because it's done in a very like fun, informative way, and he does it right in front of you at the same time, like on his tablet. So I find it's very, very, very helpful for me. So I would recommend that.
Awesome, thanks. I just pulled it up right here, so I can check it out later then.
2 points. Mark and I are both on the same table about this. That definitely, if it's you have time for it, and certainly if it's not too stressful, definitely, some good life drawing class, will take care of a tremendous amount of all of that stuff, and or at least help to do it with guidance. But the one that I would suggest, and let's see if I could do this without killing myself. My computer is right next to my bookcase, so
don't you do it?
I'm doing it.
Don't you do it?
Do it.
I'm doing it.
Doing it right.
I'm doing the banana splits, y'all. No, not the Mark Patterson's saying the Hogarth books, and actually, I do not recommend the Hogarth books anymore at all to people. I think they are great for a certain style of Greco-Roman influenced figure drawing, but unfortunately, I think they are overwrought, and I don't agree with teaching people to draw from those books. I think it's okay to teach people to draw from the Hogarth books in terms of an incredibly idolized. Yes, I'm a heretic, Mark. No, these are the books I would recommend. Both because they're unbelievably cheap used on Amazon, and also because they're brief and to the point, which is what I think is better when trying to just like bone up on something and get through the steps. So Jack Ham, who was I got to get off of, I'm going to make it so that I can show here. 1 second. Okay, so Cartooning the Head and Figure by Jack Ham, which is by no means realistic anatomy, but is, whoa, somebody's screaming?
Yeah, no, I just heard, I think my
your
my little 10-month-old is upstairs with she's learning to walk, I think.
So not only do we have the stylized cartoon sort of gestures and also all of the anatomy, but it also gives realistic examples as well, because Ham's book is for essentially an illustrator that is looking to do cartooning, but also looking to do more straight kind of realistic, but still on the cartoon side, which would have been typical for like certain kinds of advertising illustration stuff. So there's examples of both exaggerated and non-exaggerated forms, but
Okay.
So the Ham book for sure, and the other one for straight up anatomy, although it's light on the illustrations, but the illustrations are qualitatively good, and that's actually, yeah, Mark is saying Loomis, anything by Charles, sorry, is it Charles Loomis? I don't think it's Charles Loomis. But there's also this one by
Andrew Loomis.
Andrew Loomis, yeah.
Right, because I have the figure drawing for all it's worth book.
Right, then that would be the one, the figure drawing for all it's worth. But also the Atlas of Human Anatomy by Stephen Rogers Peck, which is still pretty impeccable book, and it's also a book that's fairly easy to obtain. It tends to be a little text heavy, but the few illustrations actually are quite good. But this one you could kind of like maybe not. I think the Loomis book is better than this book, but I would definitely get the Loomis book because there's new printings that are cheap, and also this Jack Ham book, and I think that you would find yourself probably in very, very well off.
Yeah, I just found it on Amazon for like $11. So
yeah, and you might even be able to find it for less. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got Jack Ham drawing the head and figure and how to draw animals as well. So
yeah,
that's one book I can add to my collection then.
I mean, the book for animals is great. I know your work, and I would be dubious about whether you need help with drawing animals. Whereas I would be the one who still like can't friggin' draw anything that's an animal. It's terrible because I'm doing a Western, and I had to fight with those horses. The little bit of horse scene that I had was, I mean, it was like torturous. So
it took several passes for me to make those deer look like deer in that one page that I showed.
Right. Right. And the more cartoony the animal you get, the harder it is to draw really in the end, because realistic animals, at least you can even get away with tracing a little bit, and certainly with, it's very structural, but it's still very hard no matter which way you cut it. That's why I envy your skills. So, but yeah, I think if you got the Ham books, and if you got the, and then he also has a really great book on drawing scenery and landscape and so forth, and the Loomis book, you'd probably be very, very happy. In addition to anything that you see on, tutorials online or whatever. But I think books are better. Having a holding the book in your hand can be many times easier to
well, for me, it's usually a combination of both. For the most part, I can learn better whenever I'm seeing it in action, and while we're like watching someone doing it or whatever.
I'm totally the same way.
Sometimes I can look at a book and the illustrations and stuff, and it's just not clicking. And when I watch someone actually doing it, it's like, oh, okay, I know how to do that now, and then I just go and I do whatever then. But sometimes I like having the book on hand just so I can have it as reference for later on, kind of thing.
That's interesting. There's definitely people approach the stuff different ways, but yeah, I mean, I doubt that it's going to take you an inordinate amount of time to get to that same stage with humans, because in the end you are extremely familiar with structurally, making expressions and dealing with anatomy and understanding the mass and the form of the figure. So I think that, it'll be a matter of just bringing that over to the other species, right? And hopefully, and I would imagine it's not going to take a long time for you to come up with your own visual shorthand for human faces and heads and things like that. So that's great work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope that you'll continue to come to this, because then you'll feel obligated to create something next time.
I've got so many projects that I want to do and just not enough time and meat to do it.
Oh, I know. I know that one. I've got 2 costumes to make in the next 2 weeks, plus working full time, the whole thing. You know how it goes.
So let's, if it's okay, let's break to Barney.
All right.
Hey,
Let me share my. I'm working on. Let's see here. How to share screen. Make sure I don't have anything compromising open. All right.
Well, you can do the other tab and just solely share the specific window, Barney, so you don't have to worry about sharing the whole desktop.
Oh yeah.
Family show now.
You guys would see all my passwords otherwise.
Right.
Actually, I need to go, guys. So I'll see you guys later. I'm hoping I'll be there for Sunday.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.
Later.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Oh, there it is. I'll do that screen. So what I've been doing is this is my website here. I have all my I got all my stuff on here. But what I'm doing now is that Greg's suggestion is I'm redoing all of my 2 years comics. So I'm relettering it all, recoloring it. Right now, I just want to show I'm working on issue 5, and I'm working on this one here. So what I'm doing is I'm utilizing Inkscape. I recolored it all, and now I use Inkscape for the lettering. So compare that to what I did when I was overseas. So
yeah,
the first thing I see with the digital font. Could you go back? I don't remember the name of it, but the spacing in between the lines of text is a little too wide. And I know you can change that.
Yeah, I got this was ones I got from Blambot. This one was called Back Issue.
Yeah, but you should be able to, Greg, what's the name of it when the space in between? Is that the kerning?
Kerning is the space between letters and spaces between words. But what you're talking about is line spacing. It's usually referred to in a software format, a software environment. It's letting and printing, but
thank you.
It's line spacing, and you'll be able to adjust that, Barney. But I would say that is this the first one you've been relettering? This is the 5th one. 5th one. I mean, you're basically, things are looking good, but I agree with Jesse. It could tighten the line could tighten together a little bit. Okay. Yeah, right. And that's easy to fix. But what I wouldn't do, maybe, well, I mean, you could decide, to go back and tighten up the line spacing because it is all going to be printed in one book, or do you say like, well, I'll just do it from these pages on, but if it was me, I think, and Jesse and probably some others, probably we'd tend to go back. But I think that's really dead on. It could use a little less. It's a little gappy, so it could get tightened up a little bit. You mean between the? I see what you're talking about. The line spacing, the space between lines. Yeah. Yeah. How? Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, there's a place to do that.
Yeah, I know at least in Photoshop it has its own full-on like font window that has all of the options in it. But
Yeah,
I don't know how Inkscape works. I imagine it's probably different, but it's got to be there somewhere.
Yeah,
or
just
Oh yeah, it totally is there. I don't know which one it is, but it's definitely got to be one of those ones that your mouse is near.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to just like not mess around with
here it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
It's hard to see. The picture's a little tiny. So, but
something's moving. No, it's moving something else. That's the space.
If you just if we just Google right now.
Found it.
Yeah.
Found
okay.
it.
There you go.
Well, that's not line
that's
spacing.
The size.
That's leading and size.
No.
Oh, that's the leading.
Yeah. I mean, that's excuse me. That's yeah.
That's the spacing between
letters.
In the words, it says.
All right. Yeah. So obviously, if you linger on any of those functions, you could find the one that's the one that.
Yeah, if they're not if it's not terribly transparent, then probably just messing with each one and then undoing anything that doesn't work.
Right, but I mean, obviously,
there's the wrong option.
Right, but it's got floating function windows. So like, just drift over onto the other. I would just drift over on the other tools, and each one is going to tell you what they do, right? So if you just click on your text and highlight it, one of those, doesn't matter what it is, and now float over each one until
spacing between letters.
All right, what's the next one?
Spacing between words.
What's the next one?
Horizontal kerning.
Yeah, that's basically tightening on how letters fit together. Go to the next one.
Vertical shift.
And the next one?
That one I think is character rotation.
You could try vertical shift, but I don't know why they're not naming something line spacing specifically. Oh, I know. Go all the way over on the left. Go farther over. See that one? Wait, go back one.
That's font size. This one. Spacing between baselines
times
font size.
That probably is
it. Sounds like it.
All right, let me check the bigger script one to see then. Let's try that.
Yep.
Yeah, and you may need to, I know that with Photoshop sometimes you need to highlight the paragraph if you've already done the paragraph before you change it for it to actually take effect.
You know, some functions actually don't want to be highlighted, and you want to simply just have the text layer highlighted. But yeah, it's
some bullshit.
Is this moving? I can't see.
I can't tell if it's moving or not.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the mustard. We're going to go to Google, and we're going to search for line spacing. Inkscape. Because the thing about playing around with tools sometimes is that you may not remember the degree to which you have messed it up, and then suddenly you are SOL and you can't remember.
Oh wow!
What you've done? Oh, there you go.
Hey, we found it.
Looks to be the tool. All right.
All right. I changed it to inches, and then all of a sudden.
Oh God.
So so probably change it to pics or I see it was in percentage. That's why. Probably want it in point.
Yeah. And those white gaps should start. Yeah, there we go. So that's your tool.
Takes a little time.
So there's your tool.
All right. Yeah. Does that look better? Does that look tighter? Or does that still look spacey? Because that's at 0.
I mean, I would probably play with it until it looks readable to you. I mean, I think that looks much better. That other page was a lot more obvious, so maybe fiddle with that one.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, if you
right here,
yeah. Could you go back to the other page there for a sec?
Sure.
It's just specific stuff with captions. That's a big caption. That's almost like the equivalent of text in a book, which is fine to have. There's no problem. But if you notice that you, I was going to mention that too, that space after the period. It's not a good idea to just have 2 words or less than 2 words on the bottom line of anything.
Yeah,
so right. So there's a couple of choices that you could make. One is to break the whole sentence after the ellipsis on the bottom line, but what would also maybe be better is to just simply squeeze the type layer in from the sides and just make it a little smaller on each side so that you end up with a decent, more, uniform last line as the other lines, right? Like
Right.
in other words, if you pull in the left and the right side equally by, I don't know how much, but, let's say just like, I don't know.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'll be back in just 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. So just try doing that. Just pull it in from either side of the box.
What's that?
Click on the type box.
Okay.
Okay. And now using those handles, pull in, some arbitrary amount to the left, to the center. We're squeezing the type box somewhat.
Like
Maybe not that far, but that's a transform tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, see,
I clicked on transform. Yeah.
No, you don't want to be transforming. What you want to simply do is just change the size area that you have type in, right? In other words, a smaller box that type is contained in.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I just click on the box instead of the words.
No, because you're changing your type layer. You're not changing the box yet. The type layer is at a certain width, right? If you click on the type, it has a certain width, right?
Yeah.
So what you want is the tool that allows you to just simply change the shape of that box. So click on the edge of that type. I mean, this is the way you do it in Photoshop.
You mean like change it like this?
Maybe,
Okay.
hopefully, and it won't change the size. It won't transform it.
Yeah, it will. What were you looking for to do?
Well, let's say that box is 100 points wide, right?
Right.
Okay, we want to make it maybe like 80 points wide. So some of the text is going to drop to lower lines as you push and pull that text box.
Oh,
right?
No, you have to manually. Yeah, I've been having to manually
use returns.
Yeah.
So you basically have to use effectively carriage returns in order to change the shape of or change the width of the box.
Yeah.
So when you're in type mode, which you have the A clicked, you're in type mode. Can you click and drag a text layer? Can you try that?
I
just
can.
Somewhere else on the page.
Yeah, I can drag this.
Nope. What I'm asking you to do is to click somewhere else on the art while you have the A, and see if you can click and drag a text layer.
Yeah.
Get out of that.
No.
No, don't click there. Don't just click escape. There you go. If you can just hit escape quickly, it'll just get you out of that cursor. Yeah. Okay, now hold down up in the art area. Okay, up by his face or something.
Yeah.
Hold the left button down and don't let go and drag. Now let go.
Okay.
That is a text box. That's the difference.
Okay, you're right.
Now, if you were to,
copy and paste this.
Yeah. You should always do your text in a box because
I remember you did that. Yeah.
Well, this is obviously there's equivalent in both Photoshop and Inkscape and Illustrator. You may have to redo the box now in order to paste in there. Now Control V. Okay. Now you have malleability, and it's not select and transform tool. Then you're going to be able to adjust that box. See.
Right.
And what I would do is just pull it out a little bit, to the right, and basically just make a slightly. You don't have to pull down, but just pull up and out to the right and left, and it'll allow you to have some flexibility in that caption box.
Right.
But see, not so wide, right? Because you want to be able to get, more text down. There you go. Like something like that, maybe. Well, you'll have to. Obviously you're losing lines, but
right. Yeah. Oh, darn it. There.
Right, but now you have the identical thing you had before. What I want you to do is pull in on the right and make it a less wide box.
Right there. That's what you want, right?
That could be. I just think that the caption box is a little too wide. is what I'm saying. I think it kind of takes over the bottom of the page. But anyway, now you have text.
Oh,
Now that 2 years is now up on the line above it, which is better. Which is way better. So now if you were to take the old text and just turn off that layer.
Yeah.
You click on the old text. The text is in and just turn that layer off. You don't have to delete it. Just go into your layers queue and make it not seeable. So you can.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to do. Oh, here's the layers work differently here. You can't.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
All right. There's a thing that says show hide current layer. If you can't get there from the menu, you could, or the
show hide
panel,
current layer.
Yeah. See if that works.
Yeah, there's a way to.
It's probably because now you're in active text editing mode rather than just highlighting the layer and turning it off. I don't see the layer for that text, but anyway, I mean, I guess you could delete it, but I wouldn't. I would hope, you could just delete it, the old text layer. But anyway, then copy and drag that other in there, in place, But the reason why, in general, to use a text box is because, I think maybe what you want is, maybe I don't know the pointers and how they work, but it's just because it gives you more malleability to,
and you don't have to do the clicky.
Well, you wouldn't have to do like returns, yeah.
Right.
Now, I mean, I'm trying to help you avoid making your box wider. So one of the things I'm trying to help you with is sort of like, say, make the text box less wide by dragging in the sides a little bit and figuring out, how to, do returns on the text. And then you can pull, and you'll have to adjust it for those returns that are in the text, right?
Yeah.
So if you get those, So I would stop there, right? Just stop where you're at. And now go in and, fix those lines so that they're, they don't have those weird breaks. See, the one thing about using a type box is that you don't need to do weird return breaks until you can just take the text from your script, type it in, and then see how it needs to be adjusted after that. You won't have to try to work that out. Now that's kind of nice. Yeah, if you center that and then adjust the box accordingly, I think you might find it'll just look a little nicer on the page because it'll give you some breathing room on the sides.
I would definitely move that floating I begins the next sentence down to the next line.
Yep, those are little lettering. Yeah, those are some lettering tricks for sure. You don't want an I. There's a couple of things where it just doesn't look as good on a left hanging like that. The other one that's just a big one is that unless it's proper, unless it's the proper noun I should always be the lowercase or the non what do they call it? Without the non-serif I that's available in the font. So in other words, if it's the word ice, it should not have the serifs. If it's the I as in a proper noun referring to self, it should have the serifs.
Right. I remember that I was looking for those fonts because initially I was doing where is it?
Well, that font was good. It had just a line for an I, or the capital one had the serif. So that was
when I first started doing this. I was when I first started to recolor it. I used a different font, which was I just took it straight from. But that's where I got this font. I got that from Blambot, and Greg recommended Blambot. So
the nice thing about Picos's stuff is that he is very thorough about including those alternate characters and. Even his free fonts, most of his free fonts have those alternate characters.
Yeah.
So he's really great.
So I got to change. So I think I want to change that.
So just to back up in more general terms, so you're recoloring, you're relettering.
Yeah.
And this is like, would be issue 2 or something, or?
This one's issue 5. I did 4 others.
Is this one yet to be printed?
It has yet to be printed. I'm not going to get all 12 of them done because I got 12, and they're not all going to get done. So I'm just going to make as many as I can before. But I have, this is just kind of filler stuff because I have my other ones that my other books I've already got printed from. I asked Bob how many he would recommend because he buys his books. So he said he doesn't keep more than 5. So.
Yeah, well, that just depends on.
I mean, they're big books. They're 180. Yeah, I remember I said to you that they're pretty thick books. So I got 10. What I did is that I got 5 colored ones because I got some in color. Then the other ones I got black and white. 10 black and whites of each. The black and whites are way cheaper than the color ones.
Yeah.
It's unusual for people to offer different formats, but that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
yeah, it depends. And I think I might do some deals. Like if you buy 2 of these, and I think I'll put on how much they cost on Amazon because I got them through CreateSpace. So by default, they sell.
Oh, you went through CreateSpace? Well, yeah. I mean, I would say to you that you may want to readjust future printings because that's like one of the most expensive printing options that you could go through.
Yeah.
If you were using like panel to panel or nearly any of the other comic printers, your cost per book would probably be dramatically different.
Yeah.
But not so much on the black and white ones. It's always cheap. It's always around the same cheapness, but I think you'd find yourself in a better position to have an affordable color book.
Yeah, like my color book, like for instance, yeah, the color book I did, the one that's like over about 200 pages was $16. But then I did the black and white one was like it was $4.
So how much are you trying to retail the color books for?
I want to make them cheaper than they have on Amazon. So, but I think they're going to be out of. But we're going to have credit cards too to make it easier for people.
I was just wondering what the price is going to be, because if it's $16.99 cost, I mean, there's no graphic novel out there that's $32.
No.
So what are you thinking about? Just basically throwing another $1 on there, or?
Yeah, I was gonna go up towards maybe like $20 or something for
200 pages. You said?
Yeah, it's over 200.
If it was just me, you might want to consider breaking that into a couple of different books, chapters, and using a comic printer and getting your cost down per book, and then be able to and then you could have actually a number of products on the table, part 1, part 2, etc. I mean, that might be one way to do it, but I still think you should price around how much it costs to do a standard size comic at, in color for, and I think you might find a better situation.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty wise that you did 5 of them, just so you could see what would happen, like what the price would end up, like where people would react to the book and stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, and this is just one of those things. I'm gonna feel it out and see because it's not really any of my. I mean, this is all my satire stuff. It's not really my fun stuff. I have some really fun stuff, but I'm gonna probably do that next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but this is the material about either the one about your marriage and then also the other one where you're doing Doctors Without Borders or the piece, that sort of thing, right? I mean, I think it's really strong storytelling stuff. But here's like an example, like a page by page, the one that I use and Mike and a few other people use. It's $3.77 for a 60-page comic, right?
Yeah.
So in yours would be like, roughly, almost 4 times that, right? But 4 times that is still, well, it's not actually 4 times because it's under, it's not 240 pages. So it might actually be maybe like maybe $11 or $12, maybe something like that per book if you were committed to that big book. But that would still give you more wiggle room for sure on your price. And I think, but the other thing is if maybe you could cut it as 50-page blocks, and then you could have 4 books, like chapter 1, chapter 2, etc., and they'd still be fit. And 50 pages still like totally graphic novel-ish. So I mean, so those are some different ways. Like maybe where like if you wanted to have your color, you could.
I tried that. I mean, I'll probably end up doing that then. But it's because like I said, it was a web comic, and it was just so immense. I didn't want to have to re-letter everything again. So it was one of those situations where the sizing was off too, and you'll see it. It's one of the things. I asked my buddies who collect comics. I said, "What do you think of it?" He's like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And I said, "But what about that space at the end?" And he goes, "Well, I didn't notice until you pointed out because it's every Create Space isn't the publishing. Create Space is just it's just a printing company. It's a printing company. That's all it is."
Yeah, well, they're not ever. They're a print on demand service. The only thing that sort of gives them any leg up at all is that they're permanently hitched to Amazon. The other thing that Mark Gagne, who's a member, has said a couple of times is you might not want to use Create Space in general because once you make a book on there, you can't actually take it down. So like if you do a different printing or you do something else, some other version, whatever you want to do, that version is still stuck there kind of.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. So, in that respect, I think even using Lulu is a little more advantageous because it's more flexible. Because you can shove from Lulu straight into Amazon.
Right. And I did that as like, well, I did it with my Lion and Dove, my marriage book. And I did volume 1 and volume 2. I tried that and then I published them on, and then I took it off. And you're right, it's still available, but it says the book's not available now, but you can see it on Amazon.
Yeah, and the only reason why that's an issue is just that it gets pinged by search. So if somebody's searching for your book, they might get confused. I just sent you a link to Brian at Page by Page.
I used him already once. Yeah. Remember we were talking with him. We were talking together about. He made me a sample of one of them, but I had to be in that
format.
He wants that format, and I had to
because he's doing a standard 6x9 format. Yeah. Right,
and so, but for over 200 pages, I have to reformat over 200 pages.
He has. So you're using like 8.5 by 11 essentially, right?
Yeah.
There are some other print on demand for like comics print on demand services and other print on demand services that will do 8.5 by 11 just as a straight up format. So, you could try some of those. I know Kablam offers an 8.5 by 11. I mean, really, Brian should be able to do that because really then but it might just because the setup of the computer, the way the printer is set up, it's wanting the standardized format. But I mean, anyway, but all that other stuff aside, I mean, I think you're doing a hell of a lot of work, and it's going to be very exciting, I'm sure, when you're at the convention.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I gotta go. I gotta be up at 5:30 in the morning.
Right
on. Money talks.
Yeah, I'm usually in bed by 8:30, but I'm working. I'm taking the day off tomorrow, kind of. So.
Hey, Gene, before you go, can we just real quick? I changed that page, and I just want to get a couple of people's idea of how it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick here.
All right, let me click on it. Okay.
So
yes.
The eyebrows.
The eyebrows did it.
That is so much better.
That actually looks like she's getting sucked in now because of those eyebrows. That's amazing.
Awesome.
She looks scared. It's great.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes. Well done, Lisa. Well caught.
That's awesome. I can't believe that just changed the entire look.
That's so funny.
Did. Something so simple.
Yeah, simple correction is the best correction. So,
Greg, do you feel the same way about it?
Yeah, because it's always scary to get sucked into things. It's not scary. It's not scary to like powerfully fly out of things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's just a good rule of thumb, and I think it helps to. And then again, because you have the panel directly after it, then you know for sure that somebody got sucked into a vortex.
Wow, that's amazing how that completely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does the job, and with the least amount of effort, which is exactly what you want.
All right.
Yeah, I literally duplicated the line art and went in and just erased the eyebrows and put the eyebrows on a different layer so I could mess with them.
Yeah.
So, but I still had the original just in case it didn't work.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Very happy.
Well, I just wanted to get as many people as possible to see it. So thank you for that. I appreciate that, Gene.
Yeah.
No problem. I think it looks much better. It's amazing how something so small can make such a big difference.
Awesome. Thank you again.
All right, everybody.
Goodbye, Gene.
Okay. Bye.
Good later, Gene.
Bye.
So one of the things I was, you want to talk about, you said you wanted to talk about the
upcoming convention. I mean, if people want to stay here, let me just back up, get a little consensus. There's just the three of us. Oh wait, is Jesse still there?
He's drawing.
Oh, it's okay. I was like, just a big. It's like Jesse's box went snowblind, and I'm like, oh crap, what happened?
Yeah, because I'm fiddle faddling. Hold on, let me turn off that crap.
How long before the brilliant flash of the nuclear bomb before it hits Barney?
What is that outside? And then the internet goes dead.
Yeah. So, do we want to continue and talk? Just like, shoot the crap about the subject that I was going to bring up, or, we can just say goodnight and this is this and talk about, because a number of us are going to be at the meetup on Sunday.
I'm more than happy to chat for a little while longer, unless anyone else.
One idea that I was thinking, yeah, I do too.
Okay.
One idea I was thinking about was what, I said I've seen in other conferences, that are really successful, is that we get, I don't know if you remember, I was talking about this before, Greg, is that we get some sort of like bingo type card or something where all of our names on it. And then we have everybody has to come in and get our signature on our name, wherever our name is on there. And then they can put that in for a raffle where we have like a basket where everybody can donate one of their comics or something.
I've seen stuff like that. I've seen stuff like that happen in a bunch of different shows, and the only thing it has ever done is have someone come up, have me sign their thing, and they immediately leave, because it's more the scavenger hunt than anything. They're not nearly as interested in our work as they are finding us for the purposes of getting their stamp.
I mean, you don't think that they're interested in getting a free book even?
I mean, the free book, I guess that would be a bit of an incentive, but I've never seen anything like that work right. And I've seen that happen a couple of times.
Interesting.
I'd put it this way though, it's Jesse too. It's up to the person to engage, because you have somebody who is forced to engage with you, where you've seen other people walk by tables. So being able to say, here, have this, and here, no, here's my card or whatever too. Give them like one of your, so being able to giving people a reason to interact.
I mean, I do that.
Right.
I'm always very engaged with the people that come up to my table.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, it's what you're talking about is actually really interesting, because I don't know why I can't find the file now, but this is kind of weird. But every year we have, at any convention we do, we actually have, like the flyers that you saw last show, where people get them and they direct them to the tables, like it's got the table map on them and stuff. 2 years ago, and I don't know why I can't find it. Should be in my 2015 file folder.
I remember we did one of those, didn't we?
I did a big 11 by 17 poster, and that was actually something that people could buy. Even some people did, which was interesting. I I would think that you know, using that asset again, but just putting in the people that are actually tabling, you know, like subbing out the old ones. I don't know if you saw that, Barney. It was a big multi-headshot.
Yeah,
in bullets.
that was right. And from my perspective, I honestly, when I went to the Comic-Con last year, I was actively, and I think that's the thing with just being more proactive in advertising that, because for some reason I didn't see that comic. It's like Easter eggs. Unless you're actually looking for it, you're not going to see it. But what drew me to it was Rachel's. She had something to say about something about Vermont comic book or artist or something like that. She actually had on her banner or something. And then I said, wait a minute. Oh, so you do comic books in Vermont? And she's like, yeah, we're there. I'm part of a group. So
right. Well, at that time, we actually had table tents on everybody's tables. Right. So if she used it, that's good. If she didn't use it, then I really can't force people to do that. In 2015 Comic-Con, everybody had a lanyard with the logo and their name actually on it. I believe they had the name too. So each year we've actually had unifying graphic material on paper, either handouts or on our persons, that unify us from being from the group. That has happened every time.
Right.
So we do have that. I mean, we are you know, we've done some form of that every year. Is that right, Jesse? We've had some form of something anytime we've been together, right? Pretty sure.
I've done that thing. Yeah, there was the poster. There's the things for the table. So yeah, I think
lanyard thing.
Yeah. I feel like I've only done it with everybody for 2 years.
Well, the group's only been 2 years, but yeah. I mean, there have been different events though. Like there was RaptorCon, there was Dam.
Yeah.
There was
yes, I believe that there has been
Expo. That. Yeah. So yeah. Now you're thinking about it, taking it up a notch, Barney, and you're saying like, okay, don't just have like the flyers and the handout and the poster and the whatever, but actually have it lead to something at the other end. So like if you go to every table and every creator checks it, then in the end you're gonna possibly get a book.
I was even thinking like a basket, and everybody donate.
Yeah.
Something small they can put into it, and then you can like this huge Vermont comic creator
grab bag thing,
swag bag.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And if you bother to actually visit every table, and then you might end up with this result, like that you win this bag.
Because I mean, to put it to the point, what Jesse's talking about is that you have like the difference between like going to some conference where you'd have to do that, and then you put it in, then you're going to win a $50 gift certificate. Everybody wants a $50 gift certificate. Sure. We would actually be promoting people who want our stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're giving somebody a $100 Visa card. We're giving them. So the only people who would want to be doing it are the people that are being proactively to say, oh, there's all these Vermont comic book creators around. So.
You know, I am personally not in any way. I don't have a problem with that. Trying that out. It's really going to be a matter of whether or not the other people in the group, if they. Oh, here we go. Okay, there we are. Okay, let's. Just so we're talking about the same thing. All right. So yeah. So this was 2016, or I should say, this was from 2015, right? Everybody see that?
Yes, I remember that.
I do very remember this one.
Yeah. So basically, take this essential thing, and take this the starting point, swap out everybody for who's going to be at Comic-Con,
Yeah.
And probably will make it smaller this time, I'm sure. Maybe put it on a vertical and make it so that people can easily check, highlight whatever their box, and then those come back and those go in a raffle, right? Maybe with the person filling out the back with email, Facebook, and phone number if they want to give a phone number, so that if they're not present, they can still get their bag.
Oh, and Oliver, is he in the group? Oliver Cranchfeld?
He is in the group. He hasn't been participating much for the last year or so, but he is a member of the group.
Okay, I've read it. I have his book on my bedstand. I've been reading it. It's a big book, and
that's what I heard.
I was joking with my friends because you always have like cyberpunk, steampunk, and stuff like that. That I call that a maple punk. It's like a Vermont punk kind of.
It's very much that. Yeah, I mean it's a old. There's an old school kind of style of sword and sandal, which is like post-apocalyptic sword and sandal, and that's pretty much what he's doing.
Yeah,
and it's